This week on the show, we're joined by Nick from Movie Emporium as we look at Dark City getting darker, Knuckles gets a voice, Chronicle gains a new chromosome, Avatar 2 will clearly be the most orgasmic movie ever made, right here on the JARcast. Welcome to episode 29 of the JARcast Movie Podcast. I am Jake from Jacob Anders Review, your host this week, per usual, because, you know, it's my podcast, so that makes sense. This week, I'm not alone, though. Once again, I am joined by a guest. This week, it is Nick from Movie Emporium. Say hi, Nick.
What is up, everyone? How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is as well. Nick is a fellow YouTuber here on the platform. He's got a cool little channel called Movie Emporium. The link's in the description below. You guys go check that out. Subscribe. Check out some of his cool reviews. He gets a lot more screeners and stuff than I do, so you're going to get the 411 on some earlier stuff than me, or my channel thus far. But Nick is here to just like any other time we've had any other guests here on the show, to just kind of go through the stories with us and talk and bullshit. And, you know, any of you that tune in each week, that's what we do here. This is going live on the 17th of August. If you guys are watching the premiere, I appreciate that. If you're interested in the audio version of this podcast, check out all major podcasting platforms. You can find it there. I know I've said this for like the past 3 shows, but iTunes I'm having some issues with, but I've almost got that worked out. I have it worked out. I just forgot to go fix it. So I will be fixing it. Hopefully by the time you guys watch this, it will be back up on iTunes. But beyond that... Oh, what? Go ahead.
Oh, no. I've had so many issues with iTunes. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started with that.
Well, without getting too, like, inside baseball on it, the problem I had was that you have to have an iTunes account to put something on iTunes, because I do it through a podcasting service and it blasts out to everything, but you have to have an iTunes account. And I haven't had an iPhone in 15 years. I had an iPhone 4. The first iPhone 4 was the last iPhone I had, and I think they're up to like 12 now. But I have one, but for whatever reason it let me upload the first blast of my podcast, and then it just said, no, you can't do. And I don't know why. And so now I couldn't get mine to work. It won't let me use mine, but it sees mine, and I can even see shit I bought 12 years ago. I don't know what the hell my music tastes were back then, but what was going on there. But so I'm actually going to be using my daughter's iTunes ID, or Apple ID, I think it is, and that's how I'm going to be uploading them. But nice. So iTunes, use some bullshit. That's stupid as hell. That's why I'm not.
Their podcast app sucks now.
Yeah. It's a pain in the. It's needlessly a pain in the ass. But you got to, if you're gonna have a podcast, you have to be on iTunes, because that's like the biggest one out there right now. So, but Spotify, Google, Amazon, all that stuff, I'm on there right now too, guys. So check it out there. But anywho, we got some stories for you this week. Some pretty cool stuff. Nothing like groundbreaking. Well, actually, there is one real big story. It's actually from last week. Those of you that tune in weekly, you will know that last week I wasn't here, and that's because I had some personal stuff come up out of town, and it was supposed to be this show last week, but at the last minute I had to cancel, and sorry about that, and sorry to Nick as well, because I know it was kind of last minute with him as well. I was like, hey, yeah, probably we can do this, but it's going to be a shit show if we do, because I got home from out of town for like 5 days, like an hour or maybe a little bit less than that or more than that before I was supposed to record. So, you know, we decided to defer to this week so I could actually do the research and get the stuff out to you guys that I know that you listen to. I don't know if you want it, but you guys keep showing up for it. So, and I appreciate that, all of you. But anywho, Nick, check out his channel, as I said, Movie Emporium. According to his bio, he says, step inside the Movie Emporium, where your host reviews the past, present, and future of movies. Is that the best way that you would describe your channel, Nick?
I would describe it as a channel that tries very, very hard to talk about movies, and some of the comments don't seem to like my views in movies, as we all know and have seen. But yeah, I mean, I've loved movies all my life, so that's kind of the best synopsis. It used to say something from I think South Park or something like that, but I don't. I changed it to a more appropriate thing, I guess you could say, for now, until I can think of something better.
So. Oh, no need to be appropriate on this show. Just say whatever you like. But yeah, man, the comment thing, believe me, as a YouTuber myself, that sounds really weird saying that. I feel really pretentious saying that. But anyway, as a person who makes content on the internet as well that people can comment on, believe me, I know I get the negative comments as well. And they don't really bother me that much. Every now and then one will piss me off, but whatever, man. I just kill them with kindness or fuck off. I don't care.
Exactly.
I always look at it like this. I don't necessarily say this, but I'm always like, you do it. You try. You try it and let me know how it works.
You spend thousands of hours editing videos. You do it and tell me how that works.
You get 13 views. I'd like to see some of them try. Actually, I don't. The reason I don't say that is because some like 15-year-old kid will be like, "Fuck you, I will." They'll get on there and put some fucking TikTok video on, and they'll get 2 million views, and it'll really hurt my feelings. But I think it real hard. I think, fuck off, you do it. I put a lot of effort into this. But no, there's always going to be haters online. I don't really let it get to me. I know you were talking the other day about how recently it seems like nobody agrees with you on your opinion on movies or something along those lines. Hey, I feel that way sometimes too. I go through like waves. Sometimes people are like, yeah, fuck yeah, I agree with everything you said. And then other times it's like nothing but negative comments. You suck. You don't know what you're doing. You don't quit your day job. Go kill yourself. Stuff like that. Like, Jesus, you took it way. Just that's a bit much.
Angry much?
Yeah, I'm like, calm down. But all right, well, we will talk about Nick specifically in his channel a little bit more later on in the show for sure. You guys hang around for that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this thing, into our first story of the week. And actually, I think it's these first two stories. I know this one definitely is actually a holdover from last week. This is one I was interested in. I don't want to get, as you guys know that watch the show, I don't get political. I don't talk about politics or religion or anything that could lead to those two things. There is a little bit of something in this story that could possibly lead to that, but that's not what I'm going to try and stay away from that. I'm just more interested in the broad range of this story. And what is that story? That is that Chronicle 2 is apparently coming. But at first glance, if you're a Chronicle fan like I was, that seems like a good thing. But after reading the story, I don't know. Let's read it and see. So a woman-led Chronicle sequel is what's on the way, not just Chronicle 2. It's apparently going to be a female Chronicle, kind of like the 2016 Ghostbusters. Hopefully not like that one. I didn't really care for that movie. I didn't give a shit that it was women. I just didn't really care for that movie. But anyway, producer John Davis said Chronicle was literally the best return on investment any of my movies ever made. Chronicle we did for $12 million, and it grossed $126.64 million worldwide. Then it had a huge afterlife on syndication. It was one of the most financially successful movies in my stable. Like, damn, Chronicle's one of his hoes or something. He also elaborated on the direction of the sequel. He says, we're working on Chronicle 2 right now, and I think it's going to be great. We're working on it at Fox 20th Century Studios. Why do they keep saying it? Why don't they just say Disney? I don't get it. Fox is owned by Disney. They are Disney. Whatever. It's going to give us a chance to tell the story in a different way. We're going to tell it from a female point of view. It will have been 10 years since the event happened in Seattle, and a lot of people are going to deal with fake news, real news, and cover-ups. More interestingly, it's the next generation getting these powers that are corrupted. These young women just finishing college. They are empowered, and this is their journey. I mean, what a new and interesting story you can tell there. Okay. I personally, I don't mind. This is a weird place because I don't mind a female-led Chronicle or superhero story or anything like that if it's done for the right reason. My problem is if you're telling the story because someone said, "Oh, I got a great idea," and I tell the story, and it happened to be that it is female characters, that's what worked best for it, right on. And that may be what it was. But I have a sneaking suspicion nowadays they just said, "Hey, we've got a popular IP from a while back. Throw some women at it. It was men. Let's make it women." And I don't like when they do that to stories, because that's kind of, that is kind of what they did with 2016's Ghostbusters. And while I feel like their focus was too much on that instead of telling a good story, me personally, I don't care. You women, men, some of my favorite movie characters are women. Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor, etc., etc. But I feel like when it came to those characters, they were more interested in telling a good story and not just a good, just making it a female thing. Nowadays, with some of these films, I hope this one's not it. I hope this one isn't like that. I feel like at times they're more interested in just making it female-led, and that's their focus instead of telling a good story. And if they would just tell a good damn story and have it be women, I think it would work out better. I mean, that's my... I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Nick? When you read this story, how did you feel about it?
Well, I'm of two minds. I 100% agree. The idea of a woman in a female-led story, it works if you have somebody like James Cameron who writes like very powerful female characters.
Yeah.
The problem with the original Chronicle is it was written by Max Landis, who is if you know who Max Landis is, not only is he the son of John Landis, who already has his own problems, but he is notoriously known for having issues with women. So I hope they're not bringing him back. But
I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think he got kicked off the set or something like that, of the first one even.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't have a problem with them doing a sequel as long as it's done correctly, as long as it's done right. Josh Trank, if he comes back, after Capone, I don't know if they'll want him back, but it just all based on who they get to their cast, who's writing the script, if they're going to do the handheld, whatever that is, like Cloverfield or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But on top of that, Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan got really famous after the first Chronicle.
True.
And I don't like statements like this, because just make the movie, give the people a chance to be in the movie, and we'll see how it works out. I'm not a big fan of see, this is my problem. I'm a huge behind the scenes movie guy, so a person like John Davis is a huge guy that I know that I really don't like his movies very much because of the stuff he's made, but he produced Chronicle, and I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent. As long as the movie is good, yeah. As long as the movie's good, as long as the movie makes sense, as long it doesn't matter if it's female, it doesn't matter if male, trans, whatever. It just make a good movie. I'm tired of seeing movies that are thrust into the limelight that are just, we need a certain segment of females and blacks and Latinos. It's like, just make the movie you want to make, put whoever you want in it. If you feel like this person's the right cast, then put it in. If they want to make a female-led Chronicle superhero movie, I'm all for that. Just give me a good movie. That's all I care about in the end. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that the thing, if the wording, if it was exactly like this, but you take out that first sentence, a woman-led Chronicle sequel is on the way. Why not just say a Chronicle sequel's on the way? Do everything else the same. Why specifically say, "Hey, everybody, we're having a female"? That's where I have an issue, because I feel like they're screaming from the rooftops, "Look at me, look at me." I'm like, shouldn't you be saying, "Look at me, look at me. I'm making Chronicle 2. I'm making a sequel to a movie you guys liked." And then just let us find out let us discover that, oh, these are female characters, but hey, this is a really good story, so I'm okay with that. Don't put the focus on that. That's just my opinion. This might be a great movie. Maybe that is not maybe that's just the way this story's written too, because I am reading someone else's story, of course. But it's just, I enjoyed Chronicle. I really did enjoy Chronicle. I thought it was pretty original. I know it wasn't. Yeah, there were other movies like it, but it was fresh. I don't want them to necessarily emulate Chronicle's the way that they make Chronicle exactly. Just make something else in that world and make it interesting like that. That was a really fun, interesting movie, and I just wanted to make another one. If it's with women, great. But make a, like you said, make a good story first. Tell a good story, and then populate it with the people.
I have such a huge problem with people going, oh, we have a specific movie with this specific gender, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You have to like appease the population because we're in that PC nature of the world, but it's like, I'm like, you know, for instance, Black Widow and stuff like that. I'm like, I know Scarlett Johansson is going to be in it. Don't tell me there's women in the movie. I know what's going to happen, and it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, as long as the movie's good, that's all I care about.
Exactly. Some of the my favorite action movie of all time is a very highly female centric. I mean, there's males in it too, but it's all about strong women. The Aliens. That's my favorite action movie of all time. It's the best action movie ever made, in my personal opinion. And it's all about this. Like you said, James Cameron. He writes fantastic female heroines, and it's all about strong woman. Well, it's not all about that, but I mean, it is very. She is a very strong character. But there's the thing. There's the thing. I think that what I just said, that's a good point, in my opinion. If I don't want to toot my own horn too much, it's about a strong, good character. The fact that the character is a female is not what makes her strong. It's that it's a strong character, and they put a female in that role. And I think that's the key. And I think that's what they're missing a lot of the times when they do this. Like you said, they're just trying to fill a quota instead of telling a good story. And that's how we end up with some of these bullshit movies like Ghostbusters 2016. I was excited to see Ghostbusters 2016 because when it came out, I was kind of like, I hope this movie's awesome. So all these people that are talking, because there were people admittedly online talking shit, because when you remake a movie like Ghostbusters, especially if it's not the exact same movie as Ghostbusters 1, when you remake it, you're gonna catch flack. So I was like, I hope this movie's just awesome, so it'll just shut those people down. But it wasn't, not in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Some of the best comments I ever get in movies is like when there are movies with let's say a woman in it or something like that, and you get all the basement dweller people start coming onto your comments, and they're like, oh, blah 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 this and blah 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 that, and they're just trying to do this and this and this. I'm like, you're just making yourself look stupid. You're not even giving the movie a chance before. Like I said, this is just me personally. I've admitted to this. I like that Ghostbusters reboot, but that was just me.
No, that's fine.
But it just, I don't know. It's a very dark, deep rabbit hole you can get into talking about it. So,
so you okay? So I didn't know that you like 2016.
You got to remember something. This will probably get give me all the kind of hates that I'm looking for. I'm not a huge fan of like Pulp Fiction, but I like the Hulk movie that came out with Ang Lee, the Ang Lee Pulp movie. So I go down
the
these
one
weird
with
rabbit holes.
The giant poodle.
Yeah, the electric storm.
Yeah,
Nicholas, whatever his name is.
Oh, shit. What? I know who you're talking about.
Nick Nolte.
You said
Nolte.
You said Nicolas Cage. I kept going to that. Yeah, Nick Nolte, as whatever that was. I think he was. I don't know what the hell he was supposed to be, but Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that movie either. I didn't hate it as much. See, that's me, man. I don't know. There have been some movies I fucking hate, but a lot of these movies nowadays, and especially as being a reviewer online, when you're reviewing movies, people expect you to be very polarizing. You either love it, it's the best movie ever, or you fucking hate it, it's dog shit. If you're in the middle, you're going to catch shit from both sides. Like, I mean, people are going to just bend you over backwards if you say something positive. If you're just like, yeah, it was all right. But yeah, that movie I remember thinking was, I haven't seen it in a long time, granted, but I remember when I watched it, it wasn't what I was looking for. I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't love it. Now, Ghostbusters 2016,
that's fine.
I didn't hate it. I just found it kind of derivative and a little boring at times. I mean, it had its moments, but I didn't love it for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
yeah, there's not, like I said, if you like whatever you're gonna like, if you don't like it, it's fine.
Exactly. But
it's not gonna affect me any. So
yeah. You did mention something a minute ago, and I put a note here in my notes about Josh Trank, and you mentioned Capone. Now, you want to talk about movies I hated? That's one I hated. But
I didn't even watch it. I just know it was really bad.
Dude, man, I was looking forward to that movie because it had Tom Hardy, and he's like doing this. He's going full on Tom Hardy like method. And Josh Trank, I was just always like, man, I feel like the guy got a raw deal because Chronicle's really good. I think he got a raw deal on Fan 4-Stick or whatever we call it, and
right.
There's probably a good movie in there somewhere, and the studio just, I don't know, maybe got in over his head. He's an indie filmmaker. I was like, this is his comeback. It's gonna be the shit. I said I don't watch that movie. Yeah, it was shit. All right, that movie was fucking terrible. It had borderlines on so bad it's good. I mean, if you just take like a stream, like a YouTube video of just Tom Hardy and doing his Tom Hardyisms as Capone, that might be a good time, a good 30-minute video right there.
Right.
What I thought was funny though, and this is not really about Chronicle so much, but this report, and when I'm reading through these reports, sometimes some of the reporters, what they write, I'm just like, did you think about that? But it's because I don't know of anybody who said, yeah, Capone was great. So this reporter, the way that they put it, they said, reports of director Josh Trank's own troubling behavior on the set of Fantastic Four tarnished his image. For those of you that don't know, Josh Trank directed the first Chronicle. We don't know if he's coming back for this one or not. Probably not, but who knows. Anyway, and it says, he's since had a soft rebound with Tom Hardy and Capone. He didn't have shit. Nobody like that. That wasn't a rebound at all. What are you talking about? A soft rebound? That wasn't a hard rebound, soft rebound. That was a fucking, what do they call it in basketball when they check, they deflect the ball? I don't play sports, but that was an interception or whatever. I don't know. He failed. That was a failure. But yeah, I thought that was funny if they said that. But anyway,
oh my god.
Yeah, those of you that are interested in looking forward to Chronicle, or enjoyed Chronicle, there is more Chronicle coming. I honestly do, because I don't ever hope for any movie to be bad. I hope it's good. I hope it's good, and I hope they make this movie for the right reason with strong characters that are women. I'm fine with that. I don't care. Right? I don't really give a shit what people have swinging between their legs or not that are in a movie, as long as they're good characters. So, but
exactly,
more Chronicle goodness is on the way if that's your thing. Now, from there, we go into the one other story that was a holdover from last week, and this is probably the biggest, well, technically the biggest news story of the week, and that does, I lost my train of thought there. It has to do with South Park, which I'm kind of surprised that South Park is still around. I watched the show, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and every year I hear about another season of South Park, and I'm like, South Park is still on? And I thought it was funny back in the day. I just hadn't watched it in so long. I'm like, Jesus, I never thought this show would be going for 20-something years now. But yeah, not only is it going that long, but apparently it's going to be going quite a while longer, because South Park's got a big chocolate salty deal. The report goes as South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone announced a brand new deal extension with MTV Entertainment Studios and Viacom CBS Inc. that will bring the long-running series to a total of 30 years of programming and will result in one of the richest contracts in television history. The deal will include 5 more seasons that take the show to season 30, as well as 14 direct-to-streaming South Park spin-off movies that will release on the streaming service Paramount+. The terms of this agreement will pay Parker and Stone over $900 million. Reportedly, their first movie will be set in the world of South Park. The first movie that will be set in the world of South Park will debut sometime before the end of the year. Maybe I'm just really disconnected. Yeah, I'm disconnected from the rest of the world or something. Is South Park worth $900? Apparently it is, but I mean, $900 million. And they're making 14 fucking movies? I mean, yeah, they're streaming movies, but streaming movies, I mean, there's not much of a difference between streaming movies and theater movies nowadays, but
exactly.
There hasn't been I mean, unless I'm missing something, there's only been one South Park movie that I'm aware of, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, back in 99 or 2000 or whatever it was. And now all of a sudden we go, I guess, 25 years and, oh, okay, well, let's make up for all that time and make 14 more. God, and they're going to release 14 movies within 5 years? Jesus, what are we going to, that would be like 3 movies a year? Holy shit, we're going to get like inundated with South Park over the next 5 years. I guess if you have Paramount Plus, you are. Which I guess not many of us are going to get inundated with South Park then, because that service is notoriously got a shit interface, and I mean they need to do something with that thing.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's
so bad.
Yeah. I guess obviously they're doing this to drum up, or subscribers to Paramount Plus. I don't know. I say I would be surprised if it would, but I mean apparently there's still a huge fan base for South Park, I guess, because I mean they're still going. I guess they wouldn't have been going this long if people didn't really still like them. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, when you first saw this story, what was what were your thoughts?
Okay, so I am like a huge South Park fan. I have watched like every season just since they've started. Actually, no, that's not true. I didn't watch the first few seasons because I didn't have cable at the time, and then when I finally got it on my own, I was able to watch it. Here's the movie thing is a little misleading because throughout the years they've done specials or 3-part movies where they did one with Cthulhu where it was like if you ever seen the pop figures, like there's they dress up as superheroes and Cartman takes control of Cthulhu, which is really funny. There's one called Imagination Land, which was 3 episodes, and it basically follows like fictional characters and stuff like that. But they do movies from time. They did one about where Randy, who is one of the kids' fathers, starts a weed farm,
and it stands
and one of the and there was a movie called Pandemic Special.
I did hear about that one. I heard about that one.
Yeah,
and the vaccination.
So that's probably what they're. Yeah. They did that this year or something like that. But that's what they're talking about when it comes to movies, I believe. But
okay.
To be fairly honest, South Park's been profitable since like the 2nd season. That's the reason the movie came out. Because it was so profitable. It's probably one of the most profitable, one of the most important IPs to ever come out in TV history. It's worth billions of dollars every year. So a $900 million contract is not surprising. What's surprising is I think this is a term for them, which they're probably going to spread it around, but usually you'll hear about South Park Studios got a $900 million contract. This is Parker and Stone, who are already, in essence, billionaires in their own right, are getting $900 million to continue doing South Park. And it's crazy that people are willing to spend that much money, but when your series is that profitable every year, and then on top of that, they have a contract that says we only have to do 10 episodes a season now, so they can literally do 10 weeks and be done, or
is that what
12 weeks.
Is that in the contract?
Yeah. They have they went from like 16 episodes to 14 and 12, and now they do like 10 episodes a year, and they can spread that out through like 12 weeks or whatever. And
because I remember back in the day, there's even a documentary called, I think it's called 6 Days to Air or 5 Days to Air. It's a really cool documentary. It's been out. It's an older one, but it shows how for me at least, when I did watch South Park, the first 2 or 3 seasons, I guess, or whatever it was, up until about the movie, maybe like 1 season past the movie, but they were always really they were like really relevant. Like what they were talking about was like last week's news or even this week's news. And the way that they do that is that they literally, the episode you're watching just like went to print. It just got done the day before it airs. They work all week on one episode. And I get a lot of people don't realize that shows don't do that. They're like shows that you're watching today, they filmed like 6 months ago sometimes and things like that. And South Park, they filmed that shit like up to the like all the way up to the line. So I didn't know that they were gonna. Because I remember, I thought they have more than 16 episodes a season back in the day. I just remember there being a shit ton of episodes.
They used to.
I had them like on DVD and stuff.
They also have the benefit of the doubt of being a show that has very shitty looking quality to their shows, like the paper look to it. So it's very much easier for they already have everything in place, and yes, they're working to the last minute, but they're not like let's say The Simpsons or something like that, where it's like a completely 3D animated world. Or so it's it was insane when I read that. It's like it makes sense that Paramount keeps throwing money at them. Says, take all the money you want, just keep making product for us, and they're gonna. By the time those two are done and dead, they'll be multi-billionaires. So,
well, I mean, I get it makes sense.
I was a billion.
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I just never. Maybe it's just my little world I live in, but I do every year. I hear people talk about South Park still, and every time I hear it, I hear like on a podcast or something I'm listening to, I'll hear somebody talking about the new episode of South Park or new season of South Park. I'm like, really? People still watching that shit? And it's like, it's never waned. It's always been there. So I guess it's not that surprising. And I mean, I didn't stop watching the show because I disliked it. I think I was just busy, but I might have to get back into it. It was on Netflix. It's probably on Paramount now, I guess. So
it's either that or HBO. I think it's on HBO Max, actually.
Is it on HBO Max? Oh
yeah.
I might check that out. I know one of my kids was watching it a few years ago. That probably makes me sound like a terrible parent, but one of them was watching it one day, and I was like, oh, and I laughed at a couple of the jokes. It's one of the older kids, but I mean, from what I saw, it was still funny. I didn't know they did a Cthulhu one, though. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan. I might need to check that out.
Oh, my God. It's so funny. It's so funny.
I'm definitely going to check that out. And, well, yeah, that's cool. So, is Paramount... here's how out of touch I am. I know that they've been on Comedy Central since their start. Is Paramount... Do they own Comedy Central? I'm not a.
I think Paramount and Comedy Central are owned by Viacom.
Oh, okay, so they're under the same umbrella, so it's
yeah.
So it's still going to be on Comedy Central, I assume.
Yeah, it'll still premiere on Comedy Central, but like I said, it'll be on HBO Max or Paramount Plus or whatever they do. I can't remember offhand, but it
says Paramount Plus on here. They're probably going to move everything. I'm sure HBO Max probably has some type of kind of like Netflix has some of the Marvel movies still on there until that deal runs out or whatever. Well, I mean, I don't know. I might pick up some South. That's an awful lot of seasons to have to go back and watch, but I might check some of those out. At least maybe kind of peruse what they have and watch a few episodes. Because I always remember. I loved the movie. That was one of the best. Besides The Sixth Sense, that was one of the best movie theater experiences I ever had. I went and saw that on opening night, and at that point in my life, I was really poor. Not that I'm rich now, but I was really poor. I was just getting started out. Lived in a one-bedroom apartment in the fucking ghetto. And, not the ghetto. It's right down the street from the ghetto. But the movie theater I went to, though, was in a rougher part of town. But those were some of the best movie theater experiences I've ever had. Those are some wild movies. But, I remember that movie being just... The commentary I got from the audience while watching that movie was probably better than the actual movie. But the movie was funny, too. I remember it never got old to me. But I think I just got old.
Nah, you're good. No, my favorite thing that Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I said that right, Matt Stone. Anyways, the thing that they've said that always made me laugh was the reason Wild Wild West made over $100 million is because all the young kids went to see bought tickets for Wild Wild West to go see South Park. They came out the same weekend. Yeah,
that's probably true. That is probably absolutely true. I did play. I think I own both of them. There's game. They had. Well, there's more than just those two games, but more recently the Ubisoft games, the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. I think. But yeah, those are. They seemed pretty good. They seemed like I was playing the show. Honestly, the little bit I played of it. So I might want to jump back into those. That might be an idea for my stream on Wednesday. But yeah, so South Park. If you're a fan, which apparently there's there's a lot more South Park fans out there than I know about. I'm just really disconnected from the world, I guess. That's what you get when you just stay at home and don't meet people. But South Park, still a big deal. So big, this is probably the biggest amount of money. I mean, between the two of them, that's what, $450 million each. I don't know of any other. Yeah, that's a big ass payday.
Yeah, I'd say it's bigger than Seinfeld. Seinfeld, I think their deal was like, well, syndication though, it was like $600 million, but yeah, this is. I can't even fathom what they even think about. They're like, we have too much money as it is. Why do we need more money? I'm like, just take the money and shut up.
Yeah, just you give it to me. I mean, shit.
Exactly.
But and it says that it's over $900 million. So I don't know how far crazy over that is, but still, I mean, I'd take one of those. One of those millions, exactly. I'd be happy. But anyway, South Park, it's still a thing, and if you're a fan, you're about to get a whole lot more South Park, and I'm probably gonna go back and check it out. Maybe I'll reignite my South Park fandom, and I guess I'll have to be strategic about when I play it. I do have younger kids. Oh, what the fuck am I saying? I'm putting a front on for you guys. I watch whatever the hell I want for my kids. My second youngest daughter, when she was a kid, she used to watch Archer all the time. So I mean, I don't really care as long as they don't start like cussing up a storm and acting a fool. I don't care. But anyway, okay, let's get away from my parenting skills. So that's South Park. Hope you guys are looking forward to that because you got more coming your way. Now this next story, I do have a bit more of a vested interest in, and this is one of my favorite mascots, video game mascots, who has a movie, is just got a really cool addition to the cast of one of my favorite actors as well, though his acting career has been he's a great actor, but he hasn't always, either him or his manager has not always made the best decisions, but whatever. He's been on a roll here recently, and I am talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. The character of Knuckles, those of you that don't know, is a character in the Sonic universe. He is in this new movie, and he finally got his voice, and that will be of the always awesome Idris Elba. They say Idris Elba has announced on Twitter that he'll voice the CGI animated character Knuckles, a red anthropomorphic short-beaked echidna. I always screw up this word. Echidna. Well, yeah, we'll go with that. In Paramount Pictures' kid-friendly Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is currently in post-production after filming in Vancouver. Elba joins a cast that includes James Marsden as the lead human character Tom, Jim Carrey as the franchise villain Dr. Robotnik, Tika Sumpter as Maddie, Natasha Rothwell, Adam Pally, Shemer Moore, and hilarious comedian Ben Schwartz voicing Sonic. I think, except for those last two, I'm not sure, all those other people are returning from the first film. I know that the first few are. I don't know. Some of these other names I'm not as familiar with. It is still unknown who will voice Tails in the sequel, which surprised me because this wasn't part of the story, but Tails was actually, I guess, spoiler alert, for those of you that haven't seen the first Sonic movie, Tails, Sonic's little sidekick, does show up in it's not really a stinger, but it's like a pre-credits scene, I guess, or mid-credits scene, I can't remember, but Tails does show up, and he has a voice, and he is voiced by the person who has voiced him since like 2014, and that is Colleen Villard. She's voiced the character in the games and other mediums since 2014, and she was the voice in the credit scene in Sonic, the first Sonic. So I would assume she will be voicing Tails this time around. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not confirmed, and if it's not confirmed, they can't. It's unknown. I don't know. But Paramount has given Sonic the Hedgehog 2 a release date of April 8th, 2022. So really not that far away. I mean, what's that? Six-ish, a little 6 to 8 months. I don't know, math, But for me, I'm a big fan. I've always been a big, back in the day when I was a kid, you had Sega, Nintendo, Genesis, Super NES. Genesis does what Nintendo don't, and all that. I was always a Genesis fan. I had both, but not rich, by the way. Let's get that straight, ladies and gents. I worked from a very young age because we had no money and we were very poor. So I did like jobs at a gas station and stuff, like cleaning up and all that, pumping gas. Yes, there were actually gas stations. That's how I'm not going to say old, but seasoned I am. That there were full service gas stations. Not all of them, but there were full service gas stations when I was a kid, and I worked at one. And
I think it was in like New York or New Jersey one time, and somebody came out and started pumping gas for somebody, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I realized that they still did that. I'm like, I'm like, more power to them. I just didn't realize, because you're so used to doing it yourself now, that when you see somebody doing it for you, it's like, oh man, there's still people out there that do it. I'm like, oh, nice.
Well, I didn't know that they used that. I didn't think there was anybody who still would do it, but I know back in that would have been the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Probably the earlier 90s when I actually worked there. Yeah, there were still at least a handful of them in the metro area where I lived, and yeah, you go out there, and I got a job under the table working at a gas station, cleaning the bathrooms and other stuff like that. And then they let me start pumping gas, and I would get tips. That is how I bought my Sega Genesis and my Nintendo, or my Super Nintendo. My NES I got at a yard sale. But anywho, I had both, but I was always a Sonic fan. You had your Mario fans, your Sonic fans. Sonic was always the underdog. I was always a big Sonic fan because he had Toad and all that. Gotta go fast. He was all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
I thought he was cooler. But so when the movie came out, not last year before last, I mean, we all remember.
2 years.
Yeah, 2019. It was no. It came out in 2020. It was the beginning. It was one of the last movies before everything shut down. March.
Time has no place in.
Yeah. Was it March? I think it was March. It was March.
Yeah, it was like February or March or something like that, yeah.
It was, in fact, the last theatrical last movie I saw in theaters before everything did get shut down. Because the only thing that came out after that of any note, well, I guess it's a note, but was Bloodshot, the Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah.
That came out, and then A Quiet Place, like a week later, I think A Quiet Place 2 was supposed to come out, and that's when everything shut the fuck down. And that movie just came out. But
crazy.
Yeah, but we all remember the trailer, the original trailer, Sonic the Hedgehog, and I remember going on Twitter when that trailer released and being a big Sonic fan. I've always been a bit more forgiving about things, by the way, but I saw that trailer and I said, well, that's not the Sonic I envisioned, but it's a trailer. I'll give it a chance. I'm not going to judge it just yet. I'll just a trailer, but I'm not going to judge the movie. I'll give it a chance. But, man, people ripped that motherfucker apart. They were like, this is terrible. What is this? It's nightmare fuel, human teeth, and all this. And, in retrospect, looking back, I didn't think it was that bad when I first saw it. I was just like, it's not what I imagined, but okay, we'll see how it goes. But in retrospect, especially what we ended up with and how good they did get the design, in my opinion, I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty bad. But they did it right.
My friend was pissed.
Yeah, man, a lot of people were like super angry.
Pissed.
And I was like, I'm a big, huge fan. I'm like a big, huge Sonic fan. And I'm not really that mad. I'm just kind of like, well, let's see what the movie does. And I remember posting on Twitter, I was like, just watch Sonic trailer, something along the lines of, let's wait and see. I'm excited. I hope it's a good movie. I know video game movies don't all have the best track record, but there are good ones out there. Let's wait and see. Who knows? Maybe it'll be great. Let's wait till the movie comes out. And everybody's like, fuck you don't know what you're talking about. And but yeah, it was pretty cool that when it finally did come out, in a lot of people's opinion, and mine as well, it was a really entertaining movie. Was it the best movie ever made? No, but it was really fun. I watched it again recently for my, a few months ago, for my series I was doing for a while there, and it held up. It was an entertaining, it's a family flick, but I mean, it was fun. It moved at a really good pace. It was entertaining. Exactly. I had a good time with that movie, and I mean, that's what I'm asking for. So I'm hoping, because all the same people are returning for this one, so I'm hoping that that's what we get this time around, and we're adding some Idris to it, and that sounded gross. Idris Elba is playing a character. I do wonder how what is he going to speak in his native British accent, though?
I'll be honest with you. If he does, that would actually be kind of awesome. Because can you imagine like listening to Bloodsport just start talking in his normal accent and just I think it honestly, with Knuckles' character, I don't know much about Knuckles. I didn't play like the third game or whatever he was in, but just that character feels like you could have the British voice in there and be fine. I think it would work. I don't know. Me personally, I think it would work in it, but maybe they'll go American, which I don't think he's ever done an American accent. To be fairly honest.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he has. Actually, he was in
The Dark Tower. The Dark Tower, I think he had.
I won't ever talk about that movie.
I love that book series.
The Wire. Yeah,
oh,
the
yeah,
book
yeah.
series is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
I think
have you read them all? I know we're getting on a tangent.
The Dark Tower?
Yes.
Oh, Dark Tower is my favorite series. Yeah, of
yes,
all time.
sir. It is. It is one of my favorite. It's that and Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is I don't know. Dark Tower's real close. The Dark Tower is one of the best fucking book series ever made. I love. Some people, the ending's very divisive. I'm not gonna say what it is here for those of you.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, but that's me.
I loved it because I mean, yes, there is that end, that thing that happens in the very, very, very end, and I mean, I didn't hate that, but like how they tied up all the characters in that thing. I know we're getting on a tangent here, but I loved that. That was one of the. I didn't know there were some characters. There were some characters. How do I say it without spoiling? There were some characters that I didn't know how they were going to end it for them. I didn't know how these characters were going to get a happy-ish ending, and they did it. They made it work. How they went and found some characters that might not be with us anymore, but I don't know if you remember that part. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That's great. I love that series. That series was so awesome, and the movie was so disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, a 90-minute movie that put all the books in one 90.
Yeah, but they couldn't make up their mind. They were like, "Oh, it's not. Would they be like, yeah, it's an adaptation of the final book, but no, it's an adaptation of the final book and a little bit of the third. Oh, it's not really an adaptation of the books. It's a sequel to the books. I'm like, which is it?
It's the fifth. Honestly, it's the fifth and sixth book put together, but
really badly.
Yes,
like really badly. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Maybe we'll get that TV show eventually because they've been talking about it for HBO for a long time. But yeah, Idris Elba. I think he's a great actor. He has made some bad decisions, Ghost Rider 2, but he's also been in some great films.
I forgot that it was even in that.
Oh, I did.
That's funny.
I did. I'll never forget. I have friends of mine who love that movie, and they conned me into seeing it. Because I watched the first Ghost Rider, and I thought, it wasn't great, but I was like, it was fine. It was Nicolas Cage. You put Nicolas Cage in something being batshit crazy, and I can at least find some entertainment in it. But I didn't really have a desire to watch the next one, and then they were like, oh, it's so awesome, you got to watch it. And honestly, this is when I was on my 3D kick, and I had my 3D TV and everything, and the 3D Blu-ray came out, and I was like, I'll get it and watch it on 3D. Watched it, oh my God. I can't get that time back. That movie is fucking terrible, and he's in it. But, can't win them all. He's, I think he would, I don't know, as far as the voice of Knuckles, the old games, there were no voices, but I know like in the newer incarnation, I never watched the show or anything, but the newer incarnations, like on the Dreamcast and moving forward, I played some of the Dreamcast games when they still had a little bit of dignity, and if I remember correctly, the character, he did have just kind of like a tough guy American accent, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The British accent might actually work.
You could have that like old timey. What were they, like the boxer accent? I can't remember what that term is called when they have like just an old timey British accent. I could just see
like a Cockney
Knuckles
accent.
A British. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Oh, I thought for a second there you were talking about like Capone and stuff. Like Knuckles was going to show up and be like, yeah, see? I'm Knuckles, Sonic. You see? You can't run from me.
I will actually dare to say the first Sonic movie is actually one of the best video game movies of all time.
I'm with you there. I rated them all, by the way, everyone. Check out that video, and it is in the top 10.
Yes, yes, that's a pretty good video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's a pretty long video.
Oh yeah. Anyways, like Jim Carrey as Robotnik was amazing, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. I didn't know. That's what I was gonna say. This is one of the when I did my review for this video, I posted. I was saying how all the 3D Sonic games were terrible. It became like my most disliked video of all time.
Really? They're not all terrible.
It was,
Sonic Adventure, well, the later one. I didn't play all the later ones, but the first 3D one, Sonic Adventure, it's got its control issues. The Dreamcast one, and Sonic Adventure 2. Most people say Sonic Adventure 2 is better. I like Sonic Adventure 1. Sonic Adventure 2 I didn't play as much, but Sonic Adventure 1 I really enjoyed. It's got its issues just because it's the first 3D Sonic, but I like that one. Now I've heard some of the later ones, like he turns into a fucking werewolf. He ends up having like a relationship with a human being and stuff like that, and some crazy shit like that. I heard they got real bad. I just gave up. I said no, I'm not gonna do it. They had like they had a game, what was it called? I played it on my stream for a few minutes not long ago. It's like both. It's 2D and 3D. You can like switch between both Sonics at any given time and like play a 3D generation or generations or something like that. I thought when I played it, that was pretty cool, but it was mostly old Sonic, classic Sonic levels. And they had like the prettied up 2D version, but then they also put them in 3D. That worked, but beyond that one, I haven't played anything since Sonic Adventure. So
Sonic Mania was really good.
Oh, I did play that. I have that on Steam.
Yeah,
I played that. That was very much like, but that wasn't 3D. That was all 2D, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I played, it was. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But I haven't played any of the 3D ones, rather, that they came out with. I think they finally gave up on those. I think
probably
because none of them had
anymore.
Yeah, none of them had any good reviews or anything. Pretty much since the Dreamcast died, that whole company's just had a hard time. But anyway, next on the official Dreamcast magazine podcast, we'll talk about. Anyway, moving on. But Idris Elba. Not a big story. I'm excited. I have a lot of faith in this movie. I hope it doesn't let me down because I did, like you said, I think this is one of the best video game movies ever made. And I think Idris Elba is a great actor, and he's really kind of fallen into his groove over the past X amount of years. He's been picking the right roles and just kind of he hasn't. I guess he was a leading man in Suicide Squad to a degree. But he hasn't quite hit that. Besides something like Luther, which is more of a TV, or it is a TV show, he hasn't been that leading man. But he is that really solid badass. Whenever I see him in a movie, I'm like, okay, that it usually makes me want to go see the movie. He's one of those actors that I will see a movie just because he's in it.
Isn't he also the one that everybody wants to be James Bond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they did a Black James Bond or whatever. I mean, I think he'd be a good James Bond, regardless of what color he is, because he is like just suave as shit. I could see him as James Bond. But yeah, he definitely could pull that off, I think. But I don't know if I don't know. I think let's not get on that tangent. But I heard that I've heard they're trying to make James Bond a woman. That was the rumor for a while there, and then they backtracked a bit with this new movie. I don't know. I think they tested the water.
The next movie.
Yeah, right. If it ever comes out, I think that thing was made 5 years ago, or something like that. At this point, I give no shits. I'm just like, I like James Bond movies. Yeah, I like James Bond movies, but every time they say it's coming at this time, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, whatever. I don't believe you. It's kind of like a Black Widow at this point. It's a comedy. I'm surprised when Black Widow actually came out and I saw the titles of it. I was like, oh, holy shit, it's real. I kept expecting it to turn off and not be there. I didn't think that movie was ever going to come out. Depending on who you ask, it shouldn't have. I didn't know. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great either, but I didn't think it was as bad. So I know that's a very polarizing movie as well. You get the Marvel fans, the diehard Marvel stans, who they're going to think anything that says Marvel in the beginning is great. And then you have the ones that are like, women are in it. Women, bad. Get the fuck over yourself. Once again, I'm in the middle. But
exactly.
All right, so yeah, Sonic fans, video game movie fans, good video game movie fans, or I mean, just bad ones too, I guess. Sonic is coming back. Knuckles, April, not too far away. I'm looking forward to it. And we get some Idris Elba in there as well. So, from there, this next story is a little bit. It's kind of almost like an update for this particular human being who works in the industry and what he is up to, and just kind of a brief overview of just the shit he's got going on and how busy this guy is. And I just wanted to kind of talk about him and get Nick's take on what he thinks about this particular person and some of the properties working on and what direction things could or could not go. And we're talking about Taika Waititi. I just like saying that guy's name. I said that in my latest video. Waititi. But anyway, Taika Waititi has confirmed he's landed on a story for his Star Wars movie. Apparently he is working on a original Star Wars film for LucasArts, and has been for a while, and he's got the story nailed down now. We've got a story. I'm really excited by it because it feels very me. I tend to go down that little sincerity alleyway in my films. I like to fool the viewer into thinking, ha, it's this, and then them going, damn it, you made me feel something. Now I will say, before I read any further in the story, he is not lying there, because the thing that jumps out the most to me about that comment right there is Jojo Rabbit. I won't say specifically what it is, but anybody who's seen Jojo Rabbit will know exactly what I'm talking about. The part with the shoes. Yeah, you think you know what you're watching, and then all of a sudden the fist of truth comes out of nowhere, and you're like, huh, holy shit.
Like, oh.
Damn it, man.
Kick to the chest.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. And I ain't gonna lie, they projected it. I mean, they projected something was going on. They focused on shoes quite a bit. And that was masterfully done. So he's not lying there. He absolutely, whether he does that with all his movies or not is, debatable. But with that one, absolutely did it. And that was a fantastic film. But anyway, it had been thought that he walked away from the live action Akira movie, which I didn't even know he was involved in, at Warner Brothers, and developed it for nearly 20 years. But revealed he's still trying to make it, proclaiming, I don't want to give that up. Or give up on that. Happen. Yeah, I don't think it is. Taika Waititi had plans to adapt the hefty 6-volume manga from, I'm going to butcher the shit out of this, Kachiro Otomo. Sorry, man. I assume that's a man. And cast Asian kids for the lead role. Roles. This came after the studio seemed hell-bent on whitewashing the project and setting... Fucking fly just flew in my face. Anyway, this came after the studio whitewashing the project and setting it in the United States in previous incarnations. I do remember hearing something about that when Leonardo DiCaprio was involved in it at one point, which he was involved for a long time in trying to get that off the ground for years. He'd pop up every now and then, still working on Akira.
I think Keanu Reeves was attached at one point too.
I could see that because Keanu Reeves is really into a lot of the kind of Asian flavor stuff. Waititi has finished his sports drama Next Goal Wins. Didn't even know he was doing that. Starring Michael Fassbender and Elizabeth Moss for Searchlight Pictures, and already wrapped filming on Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder, which will arrive in 2022. Star Wars seems like his next project unless something bumps him up in the queue. Producer John Davis, your favorite, also mentioned during a recent interview that Waititi's animated Flash Gordon film at 20th Century Studios, I keep wanting to say Fox, will be pivoting to live action, a modern take on the swashbuckling sci-fi pulp hero that helped inspire George Lucas's Han Solo. So yeah, which we talked about that last week on the show with Triv from Trivial Theater about the Flash Gordon remake and what that could or could not be, whether it could or could not be good. But either way, this guy's got a lot of shit on his plate. He's busy. Is he too busy? That's the question. I mean...
Well, that's what I guess that's what happens when you win an Oscar. You become too busy, but
either that or you star in Catwoman.
You do Snow Dogs.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these are all really high, well, with the exception of Next Goal Wins, which he just made. Everything else is like really high profile. Now, he's got a Star Wars movie, Flash Gordon, which is probably that's a cult classic. Thor and whatever else. I guess it's not really that much stuff. But Akira. Like you said, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But these are all like really big projects, and he's probably got more shit going on. I mean, this is almost like, when is this? This guy's going to get burnt out, man. And I'm afraid.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, the thing about Taika Waititi is, I don't think the guy has ever stopped ever since he started making, in the shadows, What We Do in the Shadows, and Hunt for the Wilder People, and Thor, and
Boy. I remember Boy. That was a good movie.
Yeah, Boy. Oh my god, I forgot about that movie. He's a guy that just is. And then on top of that, he was in Free Guy. He starred in Free Guy. Is probably one of my favorite villains of the year. He's just so good in that movie. But most of these projects, the Star Wars project, I'm going to be fairly honest, I think that's going to be 4 years from now. He'll finally get that on the ground, because he's going to find something else to do. He has Next Goal Wins, which I'm looking forward to. I heard a little bit about that. It's a soccer movie apparently, but Thor Love and Thunder's next year. I'm guessing Flash Gordon will be next, and he's a guy similar to I think he's like a Spielberg in a lot of ways. So Spielberg just nonstop, project to project to project.
True, that guy is always working.
But yeah, even in his 70 years old. But he's also got Christy Wilson Cairns, I think is her name. She wrote 1917, which is one of my favorite movies of the decade, and Last Night in Soho, which I'm really looking forward to. But I think he's in a pace right now where he can literally go from project to project to project and probably not even flinch. It's just the kind of guy he is, and
more power to him.
Yeah, make that money and get those movies out. That's how he's gonna be looked upon as.
I would say at some point, could it possibly wear thin? Because he does have a very distinct. I don't know. I say that he has a distinct style, but that's not really true. I think about it, because I mean, he has something like Boy or like Jojo Rabbit, and you definitely see his fingerprints in those. But then you have something like Thor, which was, you see the similarities, but they're different. There's different. I feel like he's got his Thor movies, which I think that's why when I said this week before last. When I think about Flash Gordon and him making it, I think of Thor, and I'm like, it could work. He could make that happen. That's good. If he gets all the right people involved in everything, that could actually work. But I don't know. I worry when I hear somebody has this many projects in the work, big projects. I'm like, are we gonna get burnt out on them? But really, honestly, I guess he is able to kind of like juke and move, if you will, through all these different genres. And he is a really versatile director, so I don't know if I will get tired. I think if and he's an entertaining actor, and like you said, he was really good in Free Guy. He was one of the best, especially real world characters, someone who wasn't within the video game portion of the movie. He was absolutely the best character in it. But the best character next to Ryan Reynolds for sure. And exactly. I do think that if we got too much, if he was only an actor and we got too much, I think we could possibly get too much Taika Waititi. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
he seems like something.
It's not like, I would say it's not like The Rock.
Yeah, he is very in your face. He's very like his characters are very and but he usually has like a supporting role in his films, and I think that's probably good enough. I'm interested. I don't know. I was kind of hesitant at first, because just when I hear about somebody taking on this much work, I'm like, holy shit, are they going to get burnt out and just start turning out crap? But, I mean, like you said, you do make a good point. You look at the guy's filmography, and he has always been working. And he's always consistently turned out quality projects, even before he was involved with Marvel and all that. When he was making quote-unquote smaller films, he was turning out some really good movies back then as well. And he never stopped. He keeps on going. In fact, his movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, just because it's coming off of Thor Ragnarok, and I really enjoyed that movie, and also it has the Guardians of the Galaxy in it, from what I understand. It is probably the only MCU movie at the moment, maybe Doctor Strange, at the moment, with what I know about the MCU, because I've lost a bit of faith in the MCU here recently, but it's the only MCU movie that I'm like really looking forward to. I'm like, yeah, I do want to see that. The other ones, I'm like, I'll see them. But Thor Love and Thunder is the one that I'm like, yeah, it's got these characters that I really enjoy, and I want to see more of that.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I looked up. While you were talking, I looked up the synopsis. The Next Goal Wins, and it's an adaptation of the 2014 British documentary, the story of the American Samoa soccer team who suffered the worst loss in World Cup history, losing to Australia 31-0 in 2001.
I heard it. Oh, damn. I heard of that. I did hear that. That's been...
Yeah.
Maybe it hadn't been that long. The pandemic. 2020 was a really long year, but I remember hearing about that like a while back. I didn't realize it was him, but I remember hearing about that movie, about that thing that happened. I didn't realize that was him, and it seems like it was so long ago. But
that's the problem. Like 2020 was a year of just like I don't think time was running at all.
The decade of 2020.
Exactly.
But so Taika Waititi, he's got a lot coming. Star Wars, I am interested because let's be real. I mean, I enjoyed The Force Awakens. Sure, it had its similarities to New Hope, but I thought it was, coming off of, it's been so long since we'd had these characters and all that, and just a new director, new creative force. We were all kind of hesitant. I was hesitant, but when I saw it, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I want to see where this goes. It was entertaining. It gave me what I wanted. It didn't go too far out of its comfort zone, out of the Star Wars comfort zone, but I was entertained by it more or less. Yeah, the whole Rey kind of just developed powers really fucking quick, but beyond that, and that was whatever. Okay, it's cool. It's Star Wars, but I enjoyed that. Now the other two, those were movies that said Star Wars. They there's stuff to like in both of them, I think, and there's stuff to dislike in both of them. We'll say that. I'll leave it there. I think Star Wars needs a rejuvenation, and I think The Mandalorian was part of that, but I think that's kind of going off with Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez. And
actually, Taika Waititi directed a Mandalorian episode.
Yeah, I heard. Did he direct? Was it one of the ones in the last season, or was it one coming up?
He directed the season 1 finale, but he was also the IG-11 robot.
Was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The one that was shooting all over the place and all that. Yeah. I did not know that. He plays a lot of he's like look at him go. He's like a Andy Serkis. Always playing these CG characters. He played that character in Thor too. But no, I'd be interested to see what he does with Star Wars in that universe. I do wonder, because Star Wars seems like a universe that is a very collaborative effort. That's like hey, yeah, you can have some creative freedom, but only within this box. And I wonder how much freedom are they going to give him. And yeah, the MCU is kind of like that too, but I feel like with Thor, after the first Thor, which I enjoyed the first Thor, but that was Kenneth Branagh's Thor, and it was kind of that was phase 1. They were doing all kinds of experimental stuff. It was before Disney. And then we had Thor: The Dark World, which is considered to be one of the worst MCU movies. And I think by the time Thor Ragnarok came about, they were just like, we don't care. Just whatever. Just make another Thor movie. We need one for this phase. Go make it. Do what you want to do. Just put these key points in there, and we're good. And I think he got a bit more creative freedom there than some other directors in the MCU have gotten. So I do wonder how he'll work within the confines of that Star Wars box there, making an actual film.
Right.
Mandalorian's a little bit on the fringes, because I know that even Jon Favreau has run into a few roadblocks here or there, I've heard, on making The Mandalorian, but that show's just been so insanely popular that he's been able to be like, I made The Mandalorian, bitch, back up, and they let him do kind of whatever he wants. So I'll be interested to see what he does when he has to kind of like reel it in a bit, and maybe he can breathe some new life back into Star Wars. I wonder if he's going to be making like a mainline Star Wars. I don't even know. Are we going to get mainline Star Wars movies anymore? What is a mainline Star Wars movie? Or are we going to get just
I don't know.
universe
Honestly,
movies?
I we're on a holding pattern right now, but I was involved with the Star Wars podcast, and we talk about this all the time. We were so sick of the backlash and the fanboy cry out about Last Jedi, and it was just like, now I just want to see TV series. I don't even want to see a mainline movie anymore, to be fairly honest. I just want to see good episodic TV series done by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Robert Rodriguez. Just give me that. I'll be happy. I don't want to see a new movie anytime in the next 25 years or whenever I die.
Yeah.
Put it out when I die, the day I die, or something like that.
I mean, I'd be okay if they put out more Mandalorian-esque stuff, but that's Disney's problem, in my opinion. I'm not a huge Disney fan, if you can guess, but
no, that's fine.
I feel like Disney takes something, they find something good, which they're not the only company to do this, but they are probably one of the most egregious because they're so big. They find something good that resonates, and then they just drag it, just drill it into the ground, suck every bit of life out of it they can. I hope they don't do that with The Mandalorian or those shows like that, because they've announced a crap ton of spin-off Star Wars shows coming.
Yep.
Whether they all get made, I don't know. But you mentioned The Last Jedi. I'm going to throw something out there. I didn't know that you were on a Star Wars podcast, but I do want to get your been involved in one. I want to get your. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I am a forgiving Star Wars fan, though. I try and be forgiving in everything I watch, but I try to be understanding in the creative vision that went into what people watch. Now, I'll just get it out there. What the hell do they call that? The Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
I really wanted to like that movie, and it had moments that I enjoyed, but I didn't love it. It let me down more than it lifted me up. I'll say that. Wasn't happy with it. But The Last Jedi, I actually kind of liked that movie. It had its issues. There were a few things I didn't like about it, but I liked the overall idea about it. I didn't like some of the directions, but what I did like about it, here's what I liked about it. This is when people look at me sideways like, you like what, The Last Jedi? What I liked about The Last Jedi was they tried something different. People for years were saying, oh, we're getting a new Star Wars. Make it faithful to the originals, but do something new. So we get Force Awakens. And people were like, yeah, we liked it, but then they started bitching because it was too much like the original trilogy. It's what everybody was screaming about when the prequels came out, which somehow, by the way, the prequels got good eventually. I remember when the prequels weren't good. All of a sudden, they're good, but that's a story for another day. But so The Last Jedi comes out, and they went in a different direction, and the direction it was going, I think, could have been interesting with the whole, a lot of, like the little slave boy in the end with the broom, and he has the Force and other Force users and on the fringes and stuff. Now that whole was it Cantabite, Cenobite, whatever? I don't know.
Cantabite, yeah.
That whole thing, that was a cluster. That was a show. Right. They screwed the pooch on that, but the idea behind it, where I felt like they wanted to take the story, I was like, okay, I didn't love everything in this movie I just watched. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love everything. There were some things I really didn't like, but there were some things I did. But what I do like is it looks like they're trying something fresh and new, and maybe they're gonna do something. It's not gonna be another Skywalker. Maybe they're going to do something fresh. But, of course, they retconned all that and went a different direction. What are your thoughts? I mean, I talk a lot, by the way. What are your thoughts?
No. I'm honestly, that gives me a chance to corral my thoughts. But
oh, yeah, I'll give you all the chances in the world. What are your thoughts on The Last Jedi?
This is a very controversial opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I say many controversial opinions. I don't like Godfather Part 2. I don't like Pulp Fiction. I'm getting that out right now. I like the Hulk for some reason.
Hey,
Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, look at you!
All right. It literally is. I have no qualms about saying that. I'm maybe a little biased because I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan, but what ended up happening, and I've talked about this many times, and I got to a point where I know people that will rile me up about Last Jedi, about how they hate it and stuff like that, and this is how I look at it. Last Jedi should have not been directed by Rian Johnson. It should have been directed by J.J. Abrams. He should have just done the whole damn series.
Yes.
Made it consistent. Threw in those Knights of Ren, which were actually cool looking characters that got no fucking plot. And Rise of Skywalker was a jumping, or it was like we had to like reconstruct everything back to the way it was. And it's just like, it sucked.
Yeah.
I was, because I used to listen to a podcast that was before they got into some really problems that had information about Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and they started talking about Last Jedi before it came out, and I started listening to it. I'm like, oh god, this is not going to go well. And then they started talking about Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, oh god, they're doing what they did with Force Awakens, but then it turned out to be 10 times worse, and everything about it was just bad. It was bad. It was real bad. It actually made me realize that George Lucas, as problematic as he is sometimes, really attempted in the prequels to do something, as you said, completely different.
Yeah.
Tried to make the place and world, this is my Star Wars fandom coming out, tried to make the world be super developed and super interesting. And then we got these sequel movies, which outside of Last Jedi, like I said, I really like, are not really that interesting. There's nothing interesting in those movies. And that's just my fairly honest opinion. They're very tame and very J.J. Abrams, where they're too clean. And The Force Awakens, as much as people like it, I think it feels like, as they said, it's a reboot of the entire franchise in a way. And even Colin Trevorrow's movie that he was going to do before Rise of Skywalker came out it looks cool, sounds cool, but Colin Trevorrow is a terrible director, so I didn't expect anything good out of it. But I mean, we could talk for hours about Star Wars. I don't want to make the podcast long on it, but I have huge problems with what they ended up doing with the series. And then it got to a point where I just didn't even want to talk about Last Jedi. I don't have any problem talking about it because you asked about it, but you get to a point where you defend something so much that the amount of hate you get for it is just like, at some point you're just like, all right, whatever. You don't like it, I can move on to something else.
Oh, you don't have to defend it with me. When I did my review
No, I know.
When I did my review of it, I actually got some hate comments about it because I gave it a good review, and I was like, it's not a bad movie. I don't necessarily think, I think you hit on something. If they had switched around a couple of the characters, maybe, I think it would have been a good spin-off movie, maybe. I don't think it belonged in the middle of that trilogy. I think, like you said, they had no fucking roadmap for that trilogy.
No,
it was they either needed J.J. Abrams to direct all of them, or like Lucas did back in the day, have one person who has this, either writes the story as it goes along or has a story already. Okay, even if they don't have all the beats, they say, okay, here's where we're starting, here's where we're ending. Let's get there somewhere. They didn't have that. I don't think when they started, they had any fucking clue where they were going.
I don't see. That's the problem with J.J. Abrams. You can look at anything he's ever done. Lost.
Yeah.
You look at Star Trek. He's never finished anything he started. So how the hell was he ever going to finish something that not only was he not continuing, but now he has to find a way to finish the whole entire fucking trilogy, and it just...
He's a great starter.
Yeah, you just can't finish.
He starts great.
That's not what she wants to say,
She don't want to hear that, homie. But he does. I mean, like you said, Lost. That's a great point. Lost. I was on the Lost train, man. I was all about some Lost, and then I wasn't, because then what is going on? That last, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? That was the most limp noodle ending ever. I mean, I liked Mission Impossible 3. I thought that kind of revitalized the series, but it didn't take much after part 2. But then you got he does good with like Super 8. Super 8, from what I remember, was kind of like a throwback to E.T. That was entertaining. But he had Spielberg as a producer there. I feel like Spielberg just doesn't put his name on something he produces. I feel like that motherfucker's there. He's there during the day. He's like, no, that's not a good idea. You need to do this.
Yeah, he's like, he's like 4 different people, right?
Yeah.
He's not actually one person. He's living in 4 different places at once.
He's got clones. He's like Dr. Manhattan.
Exactly.
He's Dr. Spielbergian. But he, like, even like on the Transformers movies, people talk shit about those. He was, at least for the first couple or few, he was there and he was like, no. Like with what's her name, Megan Fox, get her the hell out of here.
Yeah,
he makes decisions on his movies, and I feel like that's what happened with Super 8. But then Star Trek, I did admit it. I'm a Star Trek fan as well. I'm that weird guy who likes Star Wars and Star Trek. But I'm going actually to see Star Trek: The Voyage Home, the one with the whales, in theaters. It's coming to the theaters, so I am a Star Trek fan in some sort. People think going to see it.
One of the,
it's
coming to. No, it's coming to the theater. I've seen it like billions of times before, but
I saw it in theaters when I was a kid.
Did you?
Yeah, my mom.
I think I was way too young, but
I've been going to the movies. My mom was the movie fan in my house, and she took me to the movies every week. She just drugged me to all kinds of fucking movies. I've seen, like, the first movie I ever saw. I vaguely remember. I may just remember watching it at home. Was Empire Strikes Back. I went to see that movie. I was incredibly young. I like to say, yeah, I remember seeing that, but it might just be because I've seen that movie so many fucking times. I remember seeing the movie. I just grew. Literally, that movie, I think it was on repeat in my house for a good 15 years. But, yeah, J.J. Abrams, when he first burst onto the scene, I thought and everybody did. We all thought he was the next big thing. And like you said, it's because he does great at starting. But you're right, man. If he has to go beyond one film, and in the case of Lost, one season, it starts to fall apart. And then I guess he does. He just walks away. And then when the next one comes along and they're like, what the fuck do we do here? He's like, I don't know. I started it. That's their fault.
Motherfucker, finish it.
Yeah. So, I'm with you. The last Star Wars movie was a big disappointment. Man, I fucking hate it. You said the Knights of Ren. Those were really cool. They didn't even show much. They set them up to be such badasses, and they just weren't. And like the whole thing with her being a Palpatine, let characters go, Star Wars. Let them go. He died 6 movies ago. Let him stay dead. Jesus, why did she have to be like his cousin's, niece's, uncle's, former hairdresser's roommate or something? I mean, Jesus Christ, just let that shit go. It really is a parody. If you watch Spaceballs in the end, when Darth Helmet says that to Lone Star, that's almost like, I was like, holy shit, this movie is parodying a parody. What, this is so bad. I wasn't a fan of that one. But Last Jedi, I actually did. I enjoyed that. I liked that they did something new. It did. I mean, there were a couple of things that had its faults. But overall, I enjoyed the film, and I liked that it was trying to do something new. But man, that just shows like the fandom. That's what irritates me about fandoms like that. It's because they scream and yell, we want something new, we want something fresh. You give it to them, they're like, ugh, you changed too much. What the fuck? I mean...
Oh my god, it's so bad. I fucking hate it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure some hardcore Star Wars fans, if any of them are listening to this, are like, ugh, just unsubscribe. You're terrible. You like The Last Jedi.
Hey, you know what? You can stay with Jacob here. You can subscribe for me, and I'll tell you how it works. Stay with him. He at least gives you some good content. I'll flash you to hell.
Oh yeah. No. You got good content too, especially the new stuff. Man, I wish I could get into as many screeners as you get into. But anyway, I don't know what the hell was the story. We're talking about Taika Waititi and how he's busy, and somehow we got on a Star Wars. I feel like I needed to replace this card we got up here that shows Taika and Akira with Star Wars logo. A little late now, but so that's the I don't know the name of a Star Wars podcast to make that joke, but anyway. reeling it back in to Taika Waititi. He's busy. He's got some shit coming.
Yes.
And I am actually, I'm excited. I was kind of weary at first, but I think, he's shown that he's versatile until he shows me that he is unable to keep up with this workload and continuously put out some quality content, quality films. I'm going to stay one of his fans. But as you said, also, when it comes to Akira, that shit ain't never getting made.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it will ever get made. And honestly, hey, while we're being controversial, before I clip off and go to the next story, I'm going to throw this out there. I'm not a huge Akira fan. I've seen that fucking movie a bunch of times.
I watched 30 minutes of it. Yeah, I watched 30 minutes of it. Sorry to cut you off. I watched 30 minutes of it. Couldn't get into it. It's like Ghost in the Shell. I'm not an anime fan, so
yeah, I'm not a huge anime fan. There's been a couple that I've watched and I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Now I will say, it's manga, I guess, but what was the Robert Rodriguez flick and James Cameron, Alita. I really enjoyed Alita. Yeah. I really enjoyed Alita. Now, I'm a huge James Cameron fan and Robert Rodriguez fan, so going into it, I was a little preloaded, but I really did like Alita Battle Angel, and that's based on a manga, and there was an anime, I think, at one point, so it's manga and anime are kind of close, but most anime, I'm not a huge anime fan. If you are, bless you, that's great, but Akira, I know it's like a classic, it just never... I've watched that movie more than once, and I've been like, I must be missing something, but I'm not. I get it. I've seen it. I understand everything that happened there. It just doesn't do it for me. Not my thing. Maybe a live-action version might do it for me. I don't know. I'd be willing to watch it, especially if Taika Waititi made it. So there it is. I just lost the last few subscribers. But so that's Taika Waititi. Check out his next shit he's got coming out. I'm sure that it will be good. Okie doke. So, second to last story tonight involves a movie that actually I'm surprised hasn't gotten some type of follow-up or sequel up to this point, and technically it still doesn't, but we do have a follow-up to this, now I guess, cult classic, to a film that I love, and I have loved since I saw it when it first came out, and this follow-up is actually already out, and I'm talking about Dark City. And Dark City, 1998's Dark City has a I have not actually seen this yet. Nick has. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I can't speak to exactly what it is. It takes place in that universe is my understanding, and it is already out. I do plan on seeing it the next day or two, though, but that doesn't do this podcast any good. But there's also a TV show in the works as well. Let's look at this story real quick, and then we're going to talk to our man on the scene here who's already been able to see some of this goodness. Well, I hope it's goodness. Director Alex Proyas. Yeah, I can never say this guy's name right. I'm terrible with names, by the way. Anybody who has frequented my channel knows that. And I've actually caught shit from some people from other channels. Someone even called me an elitist, arrogant American, saying I was making fun of foreign names. I was like, no, I fuck up American names too. I'm just terrible with names.
Are you a son of motherless goat as well?
Yes, son of a motherless goat. Yeah, I mean, I've been called names and stuff for how bad I am with pronouncing things. I am awful with names, but anyway. He has a new short film, Mask of the Evil Apparition. Yeah, set in the world of Dark City, his 1998 sci-fi neo-noir cult classic. While promoting it, Proyas also revealed that he is working on a Dark City TV series. In a Q&A, he said, Dark City right now is really an intriguing one to me because we're developing a series, a Dark City series, which we're in the very early stages of, but I'm having to reanalyze in order to construct a new story. I'm having to go back and kind of jog my memory as to what we actually did and what I think worked and what I think didn't work, and reevaluate my own film. So that's been a very interesting experience as well, which I've not done before. Here's what Proyas had to say about the original 1998 Dark City and its 2008 director's cut. By the way, if you haven't seen that, check it out. It tested very poorly, and I was forced to do certain things I didn't agree with, and we made good to a certain extent in the director's cut because you couldn't completely resalvage it. I mean, the whole point of a director's cut is that the illusion we resalvage. What? That's a weird sentence. Director's cut is the illusion that we resalvage what we've done originally, but you can never do that. Often it's just impossible. In those days we shot on negative, and negative's being cut, and it's been cut in a certain way, and it's very, very hard to go right back to what you originally designed. So yada yada yada. He pretty much says that they shot on film, they cut the shit out of it, so they don't have those negatives anymore. So they were able to pull what they could from what they had and put together. That's how they got the director's cut. They put together what they could. It's not like nowadays when you have digital, everything, all your raw footage is on hard drives and stuff, and you just have it for as long as you keep the information. Now, this story did, before we jump into this thing, talking about this short and this possibility of this TV show, which they don't give a lot about the TV show, by the way. It's just they said, hey, we're working on one. It's early stages. Yeah. Dark City TV show's coming, which I am interested in. But this is something that comes up quite a bit. There's in this particular story, and this isn't central to this reporter or journalist, but they said Dark City predated The Matrix by a year and is said to have heavily inspired the film. I hear that all the time. People say, The Matrix was inspired by Dark City. Okay, it came out, like, I'd have to look at the dates, but it was like right at, or maybe even a little bit less than a year before it. There's no fucking way that movie, The Matrix is already in the works. They were already like in production. Maybe not like filming yet, depending on how. I'm not sure how like far out they filmed before The Matrix actually came out. But 1 year is not enough time to be inspired by something, and then totally overhaul your movie and the movie like that, at least with that much technical wizardry going on. Your movie come out a year later, especially back in 1999. No, it did not inspire the fucking movie. You hear that all the time. Oh, it inspired The Matrix. No, it didn't. It came out a fucking year. I mean, if it came out like 3 years or 4 years earlier, okay, I'd be like, well, yeah, maybe. But no, and I think a big part of that is because there was like 1 or 2 sets that The Matrix was filmed on that were sets that were used for Dark City. But they say that like that's something new. There are sets and sound stages used by hundreds of movies. They just change shit around. Now I think that maybe they use some of the same stuff from Dark City, the streets and stuff like that, and just redressed them. But that's not out of the ordinary. That doesn't mean the movie inspired The Matrix because they used a couple of the same sets. But, whatever. Anyway, real quick before we get into it, it says that the official logline for this new short film is as follows, which you can watch the trailer for it. It is on YouTube. I don't think the movie is only at festivals right now, though. A young woman with no memory searches a deserted nocturnal city looking for something or someone. Only problem is she can't remember who or what. She encounters twin brothers who may be her salvation, but one of them warns her that the mysterious ones, a nefarious group of clones, are after her. Another woman in disguise also offers to help, but can she be trusted? I don't know. Can she be trusted, Nick? What did you think about the mask of what? Let me scroll. Apparition.
Evil apparition.
Mask is evil apparition. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so
tell me good stuff.
I had no idea. What's that?
Said, tell me good stuff.
Oh, I had no idea this was even coming out. They mentioned in the article about Popcorn Fridays Film Festival, which I went to see the Night House at, and before they started the movie, they were like, "Oh yeah, we just let you know we have an article or a Q&A with Proyas, and we talk about a TV series." I'm like, "The fuck?" Okay. And then they mentioned the Mask of the Evil Apparition, and I paid like $5 to watch it. It wasn't that expensive. And I'll be fairly honest, it feels like a very low budget Robert Rodriguez meets Alex Proyas movie in a lot of ways, where the main male characters feel like Robert Rodriguez, like grindhouse characters, but the young girl, because it's a weird movie that it looks like it could be like a TV series for Dark City, like they're watching it on the TV or something. But it gets into some weird identity stuff where, a woman may not be who she says it is, and there's like a cabinet for clothing that is something like out of like Chronicles of Narnia or some shit. And it just, I started getting like really confused because there's also, like you can see in the picture of the article, there's these clone people that are played by the same character, and they come off similarly to I can't remember the characters' names, the bad guys in Dark City,
like Mr. Thick and Mr. It, and they're Mr. Somebody's, all of them.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was a way for him to set up this TV series, like he's going to play into it. But I was watching it, and I'm trying to get finished with it. I'm like, I don't know if I really truly understood what he was going for, because it goes in, because it's only 20 minutes long. It goes into some weird ass stuff, and some of the dialogue is so Alex Proyas with like God of Egypt and knowing. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's just like it's so weird. Like, it's not saying it's like the worst thing I've ever seen, but I don't know what I was watching at the time. There's got to be some underlining theming that going on that I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But overall, I just didn't care for it. I didn't think it was that great. It fits into Alex Proyas's after Dark City persona, where it just doesn't feel like, it feels like he's trying to be like M. Night Shyamalan, trying to do his own movies, and maybe he just needs someone else to write his scripts. Now, with that said, it really looks like something that if it were expanded to a movie could be much more interesting. Maybe the fact that it was only 20 minutes long, maybe it's detriment, but for something that is supposed to be inspired or supposed to be set in the same universe, it didn't really, outside of it being nighttime, it didn't really feel like it was in the Dark City universe. It just, there's a couple scenes on the street, there's these weird creature or clone characters that could be alien creatures or whatever. It's never really fully explained. And then there's this kind of villain in the movie that's not really truly fully explained, and then there's a girl, and it leads to an ending that just kind of ends, and that's it. And I'm like, I don't know.
So
I don't know what happened.
Is it like a proof of concept? Does it seem like a pitch video or something, like they're trying to get something made?
Yeah, that's possible. It could be a proof of concept. It could be something that he was like, you know what, we'll get a couple of actors that we've never heard of before, spend $500,000 on a green screen and cameras, get the same actor to do clone work, and throw it out there and see what happens. And like I said, I had no idea this was coming out. I had no idea they were doing this Dark City thing. I was sitting in the room when they announced this, and I was like, holy shit, sign me up. I want a TV series, because as you're aware, Dark City is probably one of the most original sci-fi films I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so good.
Yeah.
And the fact that the thing that makes Dark City so interesting is it's so overshadowed by The Matrix and what you were talking about, but it's also inspired by some of the same films that The Matrix, like Akira and Metropolis. What was that film? The Japanese samurai martial arts. I can't remember offhand. I'm looking at the list of what it says on here, but
12 Samurai?
They're all inspired by the same, probably something like that. But they're all inspired by the same fucking movies. That when people say, "Oh no, Dark City is inspired Matrix," no, it didn't inspire Matrix. Matrix was always going to be a manga comic series type movie. Dark City just came before it, and if you ever listen to Roger Ebert's commentary, it was doing something that was just way ahead of its time. And The Matrix just happened to have a bigger budget and a bigger producer behind it. And
his commentary was on the original DVD. I remember that's the first time I ever saw a movie critic doing a commentary of a movie. I was like, what? Roger Ebert, what's he doing commentary? This is usually like directors and actors.
But it was something. Dark City is something truly special in my playbook. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. And when they announced that, I about shit myself. And I can't wait for this. I hope he directs the first episode and just kind of lets the showrunner move with it. But That short was just really baffling to me. I don't know what the hell was going on. Like I said, if it was like the first episode of a TV series or something like that in the Dark City universe, like they were watching it, I'd be fine with it. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to you to watch it. You can explain to me if I'm missing something, but I don't know.
Well, and I watched the trailer a few minutes before we jumped on here, and something you said there, the cheapness of it. You said it looked kind of like a cheaply made film. I kind of picked up on that here or there. I was like, but the trailer was cutting back and forth all over the place, so it was kind of hard to get a beat on it. Lots of close-ups and stuff, so it was like,
right.
It looks like kind of like a lot of green screen, and maybe it was made in the pandemic or something. And I know that there were movies made like that. And I mean, if it is like a proof of concept or like a pitch video, or hey, here's an idea of the direct, like the feel and tone we want to go for, I'm cool with that. If it's just supposed to be a standalone thing, though, it sounds like, once again, I haven't seen it, but it almost sounds like he was just trying to be like super ambiguous, just for it. Kind of like you said, M. Night Shyamalan, just for ambiguity. I mean, just no real reason. Just, I want to confuse you so you think it's really smart, but I'm just leaving shit out. Not giving you the information you need. That's not ambiguous. That's just not giving me information that I need to know what the fuck is going on. But it did have that kind of cheaper look, I thought, in some spots.
Yeah, and Alex Proyas has always been one of those directors that has always been on the cusp of something truly great. And he started out Crow and Dark City, and then just something happened where they were offering him bigger budgets, and he just, I mean, look at iRobot's probably the third best thing he's ever done. And I don't know, the guy has great talent behind him, but he just doesn't know how to utilize it. And I worry that the series is not going to be good, but I also think that, if Mask of Evil Apparition is something he really wanted to do, I am 100% behind it. But I don't know. Maybe, like I said, I will ask you when you watch it, tell me what you think. But there was something I was missing. I don't know.
Did it?
Fuck if I know.
Did it feel like Dark City though, or was it like?
It had its moments.
It's just dark.
Yeah. The clones really feel like they could fit in this universe, maybe another portion of Dark City, but other than that, it just the world feels a little Dark City-ish, and
I don't remember them being clones in the first one. They were dead.
No,
people,
I'm just talking about.
In the
general,
new one.
Yeah, they're aliens. They're actually aliens.
In the
original,
but they're cadavers that the aliens took over, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe you're probably right. It's been a minute since I've seen the movie, but I just remember that it's a big cube in space or something like that. I thought they were aliens, but maybe they're what you're saying. Yeah.
They are aliens, but I know it's that big floating city, and so that's why it's always dark, because they're in space. Well, yeah, I'm a huge Dark City fan. I saw that movie on opening night. I tend to always see these movies that nobody saw on opening night in theaters all by myself. And it was me and like one other person who saw this movie. I fucking loved it. And I knew for sure when I saw it, I was like, this is just a fluke. Nobody's in here. Maybe it's a late showing. I can't remember. But I was like, this movie's going to be huge. And it wasn't. It bombed. But it ended up, it had legs. It became a cult classic. I love that movie. So when you are actually the one who told me that, hey, this is happening, this sequel, because I hadn't even heard anything about this or anything. So that
I knew nothing about it. Yeah,
you turned me onto this story, and I checked it out, and I was like, holy shit, I've been really hyped to see it. So that's kind of, I don't know, admittedly, that's kind of disappointing to hear that, and if you think about it, it makes sense that maybe it might not be that great, because he did The Crow. It sounds like his wheelhouse is like not super low budget, but a lower budget where there's some constraints. He's having to work with what he's got. He's not got unlimited money with like something like the Gods of Egypt. Was it Gods of Egypt or Egypt? Whatever it was. That terrible movie. Yeah. That, or even iRobot, which is iRobot had some really interesting things in it, and it did have some neat things from what I remember. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I saw it when it came out, and I think I've seen it once since then. I remember there was things in it I liked, but there was also some stuff in it I was like, wasn't terrible. But it does seem like there was definitely a decline after Dark City, because he did start getting more money in his projects. You can see the money on screen to varying degrees. But the quality, it's like the amount of money his projects were more, but the quality started going down. So maybe he just works better. Because like with The Crow, that was pretty low budget. And Dark City, for what it was fairly low budget. It wasn't a big budgeted thing, like huge budget. I think he works better when he's forced to work within the confines of what he has, and he doesn't just have like free reign. Yeah, maybe that's what forces out his creativity. And I don't know. I'll watch this thing. I mean, I'm a huge Dark City fan, so I'll definitely check it out. I'm intrigued, but I'll be cautiously optimistic about it. Now, the show, I think... initially, I think that Dark City could lend itself really well to a show, but that was one of the mystery of what Dark City was, is... what kind of propelled a lot of the story forward. And we know what that is now. So it's like, I mean, I guess you'll have some people going into the show not knowing that, but how long can you really keep that a mystery? I would think there would have to be what is going to be what propels the story forward? Because essentially, I mean, there's only so many times they can change the city around and you can follow this character around with amnesia. I mean, they're going to have to inject something else into this story that doesn't come across as contrived, that propels the story forward. And it doesn't need to be that we go to the aliens' homeworld or some shit like that. But I mean, maybe exploring why they have the human beings they've abducted and put on this thing, why they change it around, what they're trying to. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I think that this would. I want to say limited series. If they said this was going to be, if they're working on a limited series, like a mini series, if you will, I'd probably be really excited. Saying just a full-on open-ended series, I'm kind of like, I mean, we don't know anything about it, but what are you going to do? What is that going to be? What is it? We know the mystery of Dark City at this point. I don't know. Hopefully they come up with something good, though.
It's going to be Rufus Sewell just on a beach for 9 episodes.
No, we got him on a beach here recently, and it didn't turn out so great. He was one of the more entertaining parts of it. He was one of the more entertaining parts of that movie, because he just kind of let loose and went a little batshit crazy there at the closer to the middle to the end of the movie. But yeah, you did though. You got some hate for that one, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate. I think you hated it more than I did. We're talking about old, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. But I didn't hate that. I like some things about it, but it definitely was it wasn't that, that steady incline that Shyamalan's been on here recently, where his films he's been kind of like digging himself back out. This is a little bit of a road bump. I think there were some good ideas here, and some of the camera work was really good, I thought. I mean, I enjoyed the look of the film, and there were some moments in the film that I like the thing in the cave that happens with the woman. That God, yeah, that was fucked up.
That was crazy.
That was.
Yeah. I didn't talk about that in the review, but that was crazy.
Yeah, that was creative and just fucked up. But then some of the other shit, I was just like. It's mainly the acting, the performances. They were fucking terrible, just so terrible. And the twist in the end was like, oh, okay. I mean, that happened. All right. I was just expecting something more, but whatever. This isn't the old cast. Anyway, Dark City. I'm a fan. I'm still excited, but I'm tempering my expectations a bit. I'll probably watch it tomorrow afternoon. Maybe if I get bored at work, I'll watch it at work. Nobody I work with watches this thing. Nobody knows I do this shit. So, but I do sit at my desk and watch shit sometimes. But anyway, Yeah, you guys can I think it's till the 28th. If any of you, August 28th, if any of you are interested in checking out Dark City, the Masks. This is a weird name too. Where is it? Masks of Evil of the Evil Apparition, or Mask of the Evil Apparition, which takes place in the Dark City universe. If you're interested in checking out this 20-minute short film, I think it's like $5. We'll get you a ticket, a virtual ticket at the Popcorn Fright Fest? I believe is what it's called. Yeah, Popcorn Fright Film. Yep. Yeah, just go to the Popcorn Fright Film Festival website. Just type that in your browser and you'll find it. It's right there on the front. So if you're interested, check it out. But that's Dark City. Hopefully it goes up from here. Anyway, on to our last story of the evening. This is another one that's not so much a story. I kind of picked this more because I like to pick people's brains about this particular movie and soon-to-be franchise, because I know it's divisive, and I have my own feelings about it, and I have my own feelings as to why it's divisive. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let's read on the story, and we're talking about Stephen Lang, who recently had Don't Breathe 2, which I've not seen yet. You've seen it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. He's seen it.
Yep. Yes.
I know.
I've seen.
I know
this
your
movie.
thoughts. I know your thoughts on it. But Stephen Lang, though, regardless of what you think of Don't Breathe or Don't Breathe 2, he is. I think he's a good actor. Very intense at times.
He is. Yeah.
He's a strong actor.
Absolutely.
But he's not only in Don't Breathe. He is also in another little film that some of you may have heard about, and its sequel's coming up. But he is opening up a bit on some of the going-ons with the Avatar sequels, plural, that are coming, because even though he died in the first movie, he and some other people that died are coming back. So, they're doing the Star Wars thing in Avatar now. Entertainment Weekly recently caught up with Stephen Lang, who gave his thoughts on how fans of the first movie, which came out in 2009, will react to a sequel released over a decade later. He says, I think they'll be enchanted and fascinated. Look, there are people who are going to just adore this world. I was in communications just last week with New Zealand with my director, aka James Cameron, and everything's great. He's working hard. My acting work on both Avatar 2 and 3 is complete. I might have to go back and do a line here and there, but I'm really done. I hate to even call it post-production, what's going on now, because it really is the making of the film. It's just a beautifully imagined universe that Cameron has conceived of here. The partners we have, the people working by his side, are committed to the vision of it, and they bring so much to the table, from the actors to the creators to the caterers. Sorry, I thought this creators. From the actors to the caterers and everybody else. He left nobody out. I'm looking forward to it as much as everyone else. It's been so long in the making, so long a part of my life. In one last parting shot, Lang admits that he knows better than to say anything that might get him in trouble. I've been barred from saying anything. Basically, they cut my balls off if I do. Avatar 2 opens in theaters December 22nd, 2022. So Avatar, it's coming. Avatar 2 and 3 are already in the can. Well, I mean, they're not in the can, but they are filmed, if you will, and they're working on the extensive pre-production work. They have, I guess, greenlit. I'm assuming greenlit. That's my understanding. 4 sequels, or is it 4 or 5 sequels? I think it's 4 sequels that will bring it to 5 films. We're going to get 5 Avatar movies in total. It's not every year. I think there's like part 1 is 1 year, part 2 is 1 year, then a year later we get part 3, and then they like skip a year and a half to 2 years, and then we get the next 2 or something like that. Which makes sense because they filmed these 2 together, and I guess they'll film the other 2 together. But yeah, the next few years we finna be getting some Avatar. And some people are split on it, and some people are like, yay, more Avatar, and other people are like, fuck you, Avatar. Avatar sucks. But let's be real, Avatar, and I know money doesn't mean everything, but holy shit, that movie made a lot of money. So much money so that it is the highest grossing film of all time. Yes, it did make more than Avengers Endgame, because Avengers just like barely beat it out, but then all they did, they released it in one territory in like Japan for like a week, and it far surpassed that amount. And I'm sure that they're going to probably re-release like the extended cut or something here in the States just for shits and giggles, like leading up to probably in like August of 2022. They'll be like, coming back to theaters one more time, come see Avatar, and they'll get, you know, $500 billion more to add to Avatar 1 just to solidify it, to say no one will ever overtake this film. But I'm sure that this movie will end up crossing that $3 billion mark eventually.
Yeah.
But all that aside, it's a big-ass movie. Yeah, people say, well, the only reason it made so much is because of 3D ticket sales. Come on, people. That ain't the only reason it made that much. Yes, I'm sure that helped because it was very big in 3D. But a whole lot of motherfuckers went and saw Avatar, okay? That $3 to $6 surcharge, depending on where you live, is not the only thing that got it up there. It helped, but a whole lot of people saw Avatar, and a whole lot of people liked it when it came out. It was after that, when it came the big dog, is when people started saying, fuck Avatar. Okay, me, myself, personally, before we get into your thoughts, and I've heard it all, so I'm cool with whatever people think. I really enjoy Avatar. Once again, I will preface that with I'm a huge James Cameron fan. I don't feel as if James Cameron has made technically a bad movie, and no, Piranha 2 doesn't count, because he didn't direct that. He got fired on the second day of filming. Anyway, so that's not his movie. But everything else he's ever released has been, I mean, really good. You've had really good movies and great movies, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. I mean, we got The Abyss, we got the Terminator films, we've got True Lies, we've got Titanic. There's just, the guy releases bangers. He has not failed us yet. He had Avatar, regardless of what some people say, it was a huge success. I thought it was wildly entertaining. Does it have its flaws? Yeah, every movie does. But the movie was just an experience, I thought. Now, the story? I didn't hate the story. I enjoyed the story. But I can sit here and admit how much I really enjoy that film. But the story itself, the core story, was probably the weakest part of the film. I don't think it was bad, but I think it was probably the weakest part of the film. I think that the world, when I went and saw Avatar, it's the world, not just how it looks, just the world. He built a wonderful world. He's really good at world building. You felt like this was a real place. The people in the world, just everything about it, just seeing this thing, it just happened. And the guy knows how to direct a really good, like an action scene. I mean, he does a really good job. It was an exciting movie.
Yep.
But yeah, I can admit that the story is the story is the weakest part of the film. Still enjoy it, but it is the weakest part of the film. And some people saying, oh, these movies are going to suck. I say, I'm not going to bet against James Cameron, because for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's never had a flop. And not only has he never had a flop, he's never had a movie that was just terrible. I mean, I guess you could, whether you like his movies or not, is quality of his films is debatable. But I don't think anybody ever says, oh, James Cameron just makes dog shit. Unless you're just, like realistically, nobody says that. But also, there was a quote he said years ago, and he has always kind of lived by it, and it came back around when it came to the Avatar sequels. And it was about True Lies. And I think it came up about all of his movies, but it was one of the reasons it said it took him so long in the grand scheme of things to make T2. And that was because he said, because they wanted him to make a sequel to Terminator as soon as that movie took off. They were like, yes, hey, green light, you can make a sequel. He said no, because he has always said when it comes to his stories, I'm not going to make a sequel to a movie unless there is a story I feel like needs to be told. I'm not going to just make something for money. And especially now, he definitely doesn't have to. The guy's like building submarines to go to the fucking Mariana Trench and find Megs. But he's not going to do it. He's going to do it because there's a story he feels needs to be told. And I've always said that is the exact reason that you make a movie. That's why you tell any story. You don't tell it for any reason beyond the fact that you feel like it needs to be told. And he's always lived by that. That's why we haven't gotten a True Lies 2, because people have been clamoring for that forever. And he's like, I don't have the others. It hasn't come to me. I can't think of another True Lies story. I ended that story. That was all I wanted to tell with it. So that's why we're going to get some dumb TV show apparently at some point that he's not involved with. But whatever. And apparently he said, almost or 10 years later, or I think it was like 8, 9, 10 years later, he said, hey, I got a story for Avatar. I want to tell it. Not only do I have one, I got 4. But these are the reasons I'm not going to bet against the guy. I mean, it might come out and just suck. But I have faith in Avatar, and I did enjoy Avatar, so I am looking forward to more. What are your thoughts?
Well, I liked Avatar. I'm going to admit I liked it. Do I think it's his best movie? No, I'm on the boat of The Abyss being his best movie. But
yes,
that's just
sir.
my personal opinion. The Abyss is an incredibly underrated movie.
Mm-hmm. One of his most underrated.
There's one thing. Yes. Yeah, that first CG shot with the water's fucking awesome. The one thing you don't do, especially in this day and age, like you said, is bet against James Cameron. The man, his last 2 films are Avatar and Titanic.
Yeah.
Yes, that's 97 was when Titanic came out. That's a long time ago. The dude does things at his own pace. Yes, I would have liked to see Avatar in 2015, but the one thing James Cameron has always done, and has always done well, is, like you said, world building. The man is on a whole different level in a George Lucas type world where he can literally take a story that's, Dances with Wolves and fucking My Ferngully or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, Ferngully.
Yeah, Ferngully. And create something just truly unique. I remember reading stories about people wanting to go to Pandora, which I thought was really weird because you die pretty quickly. But
yeah, and like getting depressed and stuff, and want to commit suicide because they couldn't. Stupid. Too much.
But there's something unique about a James Cameron film. Like, the guy, like, I get excited every time I see a set picture because there's gonna be something truly special. Like he had kids that were training to be underwater for 6 minutes at a time, holding their breath. Mm-hmm. And apparently the next film is gonna be about under the ocean. And it's just like you said, if the movie sucks, the movie sucks. But I can't bet against James Cameron at this point. Like they talked about in I actually remember. I used to get, you probably got Entertainment Week. I don't know if you got Entertainment Weekly or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my shit.
But there was an article. Well, there was an article about how Starship Troopers came out the same year as Titanic, but how Starship Troopers is going to be this amazing big budget action film that's going to make a lot of money. And then there was this really overblown budget Titanic film that James Cameron was directing that's going to flop and do it. And then not only made $600 million, but it also won Best Picture. And then 10 years later or whatever, you're like, oh, he's doing this Avatar movie. It's probably going to suck. It's going to make no money. And then it makes like $70 million each week, and it makes like $900 billion or whatever it is. It's like, at this point, just let the guy make his movies. Yes, he's going to take 300 years. We're all probably going to be dead by the time, Avatar 17 comes out. But it's like, I mean, I have faith the guy knows what he's doing. December 22nd of next year is not that far away. And I just, as much as I really love this movie, I love the Avatar. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. And, Stephen Lang is one of those actors that kind of has been playing through the Hollywood system for years. And when he says that we'll be enchanted, I believe him because it's James Cameron. And, now on the Don't Breathe 2 aspect, I will say that's one of the worst movies I've seen this year. But you just got to let James Cameron do James Cameron. The guy's been around since the 70s or whatever. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. At this point, just give the guy, he knows what he's fucking doing. Give him $600 billion, whatever he wants to do, and he'll go out and shit gold. So I'm looking forward to it.
He went to the bottom of the fucking Mariana Trench.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he wanted to.
Exactly. He's like, I'm going there, and you're gonna like it. And they're like, okay, we need it. Can you make a documentary out of it? Sure. Why the fuck?
I think he was at one point in time. It may have been surpassed by now, but I think when he did that, he had gone deeper than any other human being ever. I don't know if someone surpassed that since, but I mean, and if you this is kind of off topic, but if you I actually watched that documentary where he made that submarine not too long ago. I'd seen clips of it, but I'd never watched it from beginning to end. Me and my wife sat down and watched it, and he's like in a fucking tin can for hours on end with shit going wrong all the way, like all over the place. And he's like, fuck it, I'm doing this. I'm James Cameron, bitch. I'm making it happen. I mean, the guy, yeah, he's amazing.
there's stories of, Bill Paxton would talk about when they were filming Titanic that they would actually film it down in Titanic. He said James Cameron was one of the craziest motherfuckers he ever worked with, because he's like, it's like when Kate Winslet got hypothermia from Titanic. They're willing to do whatever he says, and he's proven time and time again. But
well, that's what you get. Like, he is supposedly, this is a supposed story, he made Arnold Schwarzenegger cry, or at least tear up, on the set of True Lies because he wouldn't let him take a bathroom break. Like, he had to pee so bad or something like that, or maybe he had like roid shits, I don't know, but he had to use the bathroom, and he wouldn't let him until he got the scene. He was like, no, we're finishing the scene. I gotta use the bathroom. I gotta use the bathroom now. And he's like, no. Little James Cameron. But like, the guy, look at all the people that continuously come back to his films. He is one of those directors, much like Robert Rodriguez and maybe even Quentin Tarantino to a degree, where they build over time this like family of people that work with them. And you hear about, I think he's probably toned down a bit now, but you hear about how much of a tyrant he can be. And I don't really think he's a tyrant, because like watching that documentary I did a couple of weeks ago, you see a lot of him behind the scenes, like directing more or less them making this sub and getting it right. And the guy takes no shit. Like he's like sitting there, and they're like, well, I just don't know how we're gonna do this on time. And he's like, oh, I do. We're gonna fucking do it. That's how. See, he does not take anybody's shit. He knows what he wants, and he wants it, and he pushes his people to get it. And that is a good leader. And even though some of these people talk about, man, he's a raging asshole when you're making a movie, but man, you're gonna end up with something great. And that's why they continue to come back. I mean, look at all his movies as they go along. They have a lot of the same faces coming back repeatedly, because they know that, hey, we're not just in a movie, we're making something special here with James Cameron here. So, and I mean, I'm not gonna, like you said, I'm not gonna bet against that. And I did really enjoy Avatar. Is it a little Ferngully? Sure, but it's so much more than that. That is kind of trivializing it a bit, I think. But I guess my question for you, knowing that you're a fan of Avatar, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the theatrical cut or the extended version?
Oh, I'm 9 times out of 10. Sometimes the 1% comes into effect, but 9 times out of 10, I give me the extended cut.
Yeah, I want more.
That whole opening sequence. Yeah. Well, like for instance, the whole opening sequence with Jake Sully on Earth,
in the bar,
us what Earth is like. Yeah, in the bar, you see his brother and stuff like that, and you look at like Lord of the Rings, and actually, Abyss. Abyss has a great extended cut. With
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that Abyss ending.
James Cameron, like Ridley Scott, comes out with some really great extended cuts. Terminator 2 had a great extended cut.
Yeah, that's almost become kind of the de facto version there, with the whole the taking the chip out of the head.
Yep.
With and how they filmed that and everything. I mean, we could talk for hours about that alone. And a lot of the stuff in the end with her sister, because Linda Hamilton's twin sister was there filming her, like the T-1000's version of her, and all the little things they added that they took out. None of it's bad. I get why they took it out, because movies got to be a certain length. They start getting too long, and they're like, okay, we gotta tone it down a little bit. But you see some movies, and you get the extended edition or the deleted scenes. You're like, okay, yeah, just seeing that deleted scene, that was neat. I don't think it was needed, but that was neat. I mean, this shit was really, this added to it. Aliens has got stuff in it that you're like,
Nope.
that adds to it. It's not just like, okay, that's just like dead weight. I get why they cut that. This adds to it. I mean, I understand for time why they cut it, but it being there doesn't make the movie seem longer. It makes it seem more fleshed out, and it really is a testament to how good of a filmmaker he is, that he's cutting shit just purely for time. Not because this sucked. It's just I'm cutting it because I've got a 3-hour movie I need to cut down to at least a 2.5-hour movie or something. And
I'll tell you what I'm really excited for with Avatar. The original movie, there's that great opening shot with the spaceship and fly suit, but the visual CGI is starting to look dated a little bit. If you look at it now, it's starting to look a little early 2000s and so on and so forth. It's just the unfortunate nature of CGI.
Sure.
You look at stuff like Revenge of the Sith the same way, which is one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen when it comes to CGI.
That opening few minutes, where they're like flying through and everything, that's still, last time I watched it, of whenever, right before Rise of Skywalker came out, that shit still looks great, and it is just as awesome.
Yeah,
moment.
It's amazing. But with the updated technology, that James Cameron, of all people, is going to be the guy that uses that technology to its fullest. So the look of 2009's Avatar to the look of 2022's Avatar 2 is going to be something night and day. It's going to be incredible to watch. I'm really looking forward to, because he knows how to use CG to its Weta too. So
I'm wondering if, because I would bet money they are going to re-release Avatar in theaters before this. I'm wondering if he doesn't George Lucas it so much, but he has gone back and touched up some of his previous movies, like a few things in Titanic. He's touched up a couple of effects here or there, but like the sky thing with, man, this guy's like anal. Like somebody pointed out, those stars weren't like that. It was seriously, the stars in Titanic weren't just like that in 1912 or 15, whenever it was that the Titanic sank. That stars from 20 or 1996 or whatever. He went back and changed that shit. He's like, oh shit, they're right. This is not authentic. He went and changed the fucking stars. But anyway, for the 3D release of it, they updated a few things. And Terminator 2, they apparently did some slight few things to it in some versions of it. I'm not sure what. And he's been known to go back and touch up a couple of things here or there. Not necessarily change the movie, but maybe update them a little bit. Kind of like they did with Lord of the Rings, the 4K release of Lord of the Rings. Because apparently if you watch the original cut of that movie, the original effects in 4K, it's like, oh, that didn't hold up. But I'm wondering if he's going to go back and maybe like put a fresh coat of paint over some of the effects in the original. Maybe not to the extent of the new movie, but maybe like if they're going to have a re-release, maybe kind of sexy it up a little bit and make him look a little better. Who knows? I would. I'm hoping. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking at this point. But I'm excited about Avatar. I'm a huge Avatar fan. I've always been a big advocate for Avatar. I didn't backtrack. A lot of people, there was this huge fever. Just everybody was all about some Avatar. I mean, everybody knew Avatar. Everybody. Yeah. People say, oh, that's when people try and throw out the whole 3D ticket sales thing. I'm like, no, it's not, because there were just people that you wouldn't think would be into Avatar that were talking about Avatar. I mean, everybody saw Avatar, and it was like a phenomenon, a cultural phenomenon. And I think that this one's going to do it too, man. I think all these people talking shit, as soon as that fucking trailer drops, all of a sudden you're going to have like a lot of people turn back around. They're like, oh, Avatar 2 is coming. I'm looking forward to it. It's the age of the internet now. We're in a different world. Yeah. So, yeah, you're still going to have the haters. But, man, I don't know. There's just, I don't know if any of his movies, Avatar, it's the highest grossing film of all time. When you're number one, there's always going to be people wanting to kick you down. But Avatar notwithstanding, none of his movies really get any type of like great hate. You don't hear anybody talking shit about The Abyss or True Lies or Terminator 2. No. Or nobody's like, man, that fucking movie sucked. I mean, there's some people that are like, it wasn't for me, but it's still a good movie. His movies always get pretty universal acclaim, and I'm really looking to see, because a lot of people do kind of jump on the Avatar hate bandwagon right now in the past few years. I'm really interested to see how that's gonna. I mean, it might be wrong, but how people's opinions are gonna change when that first trailer drops. I think it's gonna be pretty. I hope it's jaw dropping, and people are just like sitting there with egg on their face, like, "Oh fuck, I gotta see this."
I think it's gonna be one of those films that is going to be extraordinary when it comes to the visuals. Now, the story, we'll see, but the visuals are going to be mind blowing. I think. Oh yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. That's what's going to draw people.
It was absolutely going to look amazing. It's going to have some really entertaining action. Now, the story, like you said, I think he has in the past told really intriguing stories, and I think I'm going to go on a limb and say worst case scenario, the story is going to be fine. Yeah. But I think worst case scenario, the story will be fine, but the whole world building and the spectacle of it all will kind of pick up some of the slack. But I am hoping, since, 4 movies, he's clearly got some type of story arc going on here in his head. And it's supposed to, supposedly, we know nothing about it, except for the one thing you said, that either the second one or the third one is going to take place possibly like underwater. There's going to be a lot more water in this one, but it's supposed to kind of go around to some of the different biomes throughout these films of the Pandora. So
I just can't believe we haven't heard anything literally it's so the fact that we haven't heard anything what they're even about 10 years or 3 years. They've been working on these films for 6 years now, not heard barely anything about what they are. Just seeing photos,
especially in this day and age, and the photos were released by them. I follow, I don't use Instagram, but I have one, and I get messages every now and then. And Avatar is one of the things I follow. Those the few photos we got of the practical half ship and the stuff on them, those came from them. Everything we have was released from the filmmakers. So in this day and age, it is kind of funny that we haven't. But everything's made in that movie. The vast majority of the stuff is probably made on closed sets. That's a little bit easier to keep under wraps when it's on a closed set as compared to something that you're filming on location. So I guess that would make it more easy because they're filming in water tanks and shit like that. And, even when it came to Titanic, nobody knew that until they actually announced it. It went under the name of Iceberg I don't know. No, Titanic was under a different name for the majority of it, for all of its filming. Nobody knew that they were making a movie called Titanic until they announced, oh yeah, it's Titanic. It had a different name. So he's good at keeping secrets, I guess.
Yeah.
But, Avatar, crazy. Good to hear that I'm in good company when it comes to Avatar. I think a lot, and I do think that this is one of those movies that a lot of people just it became kind of trendy to give it shit. Because it came.
Oh, anything that makes that much money, of course.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of money? You suck. So I think it became kind of trendy to say Avatar it sucks. But I'm really looking forward to when December 22nd, 2022. I'm going to say we're going to get a teaser trailer. Probably just going to be a aerial shot and some fucking Navi eyes or some shit. I'm going to say we're going to get a teaser trailer midsummer, maybe. Mid to end of summer. I'd say midsummer. If things are pseudo back to normal this time next year, I'm going to say around this time next year, we'll probably get that first teaser trailer. Maybe a little bit earlier. They don't really tease things out as far out as they used to.
No, the best teaser trailer of all time, Terminator 2.
Yeah, I was going to say that the one when it shows
best teaser trailer.
The manufacturing line, and it comes up and it turns around and you got the red eyes I don't know if he said I'll be back. I remember seeing that trailer or teaser.
Yeah. Such a good trailer.
Yeah, the fucking movie's awesome too. My sister took me to see that. But yeah, Avatar, James Cameron, he's the man. The movie is going to make everyone simultaneously around the world orgasm at once.
Yes.
It's happening. December 22 or 22nd, 2022, worldwide circle jerk for Avatar. Anyway, all right, so that was the last of the main stories. I did have one or two things I just wanted to touch on before we get out of here. I know we're running a little bit short on time, but I just wanted to real quick speed through some things that just popped up today. for my listeners and get your thoughts on it. We don't have to go too far into it, but I read a story today about the recently released The Suicide Squad, and I thought this was interesting and could have been so cool. Apparently, the original villain for The Suicide Squad was going to be Superman. That was what James Gunn wanted. He wanted Superman to be the villain, which if they were continuing on with the Zack Snyder continuity of the Snyderverse movies, I think that could have worked, because it could have they could have tied together, because in his universe, Superman was going to be corrupted by Darkseid and become a bad guy, at least for a time, and a lot of other stuff too. If you look that up, by the way, everybody, you want to see some weird, you want to see something fresh and new, a new direction, look up where they were going with Justice League 2 and 3 under Zack Snyder. There was going to be babies. Batman and Lois Lane got a kid. Batman gets killed. Lois Lane dies. I think she comes back. Just all kinds of crazy shit those movies were going to be fucking out there. They were going to be so wild. I wish we could have seen them, but no, that's not going to happen. But I think that would have worked with that within that continuity. Would you want to see? You've seen the Suicide Squad, and I don't think it's a big. It's in the trailer. It's not a big mystery that the main villain. Well, I don't know, is the main villain. The main big thing in the end is Starro, a giant fucking starfish. Yeah. Which they did make it work. I ain't gonna lie, they made it work. Yeah. They made it work. As goofy as that sounds, this big what do they call them? The Godzilla monsters?
Kaiju.
Yeah, kaiju starfish, pretty much.
Yeah.
They made it work, but I mean, would you have rather seen evil Superman battling the Suicide Squad?
Well, I'll put it this way: James Gunn, Starro makes a lot of sense because James Gunn's a weird fucking guy.
Yeah.
But I'll give my my 2-word answer. Fuck yes. That's all I'll say.
Right?
Fuck yes.
That's what I said.
Evil Superman. Yeah, like that. The best part about the 4-hour cut of Justice League was that scene where we learned that, it's a nightmare scene, as it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck yes, man, that would be so awesome. Like, there's a video game coming out called the.
Yep, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, I beat you to it.
No, you're good, man. And that's the premise of it. It's the Suicide Squad versus Justice League. I don't know if that's the name of the game.
Yeah,
but it
kills the Justice League.
Yeah, and it's them fighting the Justice League that's been, I guess they've been corrupted by something, but that is a comic book accurate story, and that's what this game is based on. And there's even, like, you can watch videos of the game, and it shows some of this stuff, but that would have been really cool and fresh and new. I mean, Starro, he was too, admittedly, and I like the movie for what it was, but
yeah.
Man, that could have been really badass. They could have gotten Henry Cavill to come in there and been evil Superman. It could have all tied together. That's that MCU-esque kind of thing that they were wanting to do, which, oh well, it's not going to happen now. It's kind of just a cool thought, but man, that could have been badass. Seeing Superman like tear people in half and stuff like that would have been fucking amazing. But anyway,
fucking King Shark.
Yeah, and like burning people's, like lasering people in the eye, in the fucking head, like he did that one guy in the movie.
Yeah.
But we also got, this is just a quick update this is a story I've covered a couple of times on the show over the course of the past however many months I've been doing the show, but the Toxic Avenger reboot, which I don't know if you'd heard of that. You probably have, starring Peter Dinklage. Don't have it in front of me. Elijah Wood, a whole bunch of people. Like, the cast is phenomenal, but the Toxic Avenger reboot has wrapped filming, so it's not that far from being completed. I don't know how I feel about this movie. I like the original Toxic Avenger, just for it is the quintessential so bad it's good movie. Trauma movies, pretty much all of them are like that, but I have a low tolerance for some of their movies. But some of them, like that and like Sergeant Kabuki Man and stuff like that, are just so out there and wacky that they're a good time. And Lloyd Kaufman is a character unto himself. But this is a more mainstreamish take on the Toxic Avenger. Trauma is not making this movie, So that worries me a bit because, sometimes Trauma is not afraid to do anything, and that's kind of part of their charm. They will throw anything in there. They give no shits. And I don't know if this movie's going to be as daring as the Toxic. I mean, in the original Toxic Avenger, our quote-unquote bad guys are riding around in their Firebird or Camaro or whatever, and they open the glove box, and they have a scorecard showing children, old people with walkers, things like that, of people that they can run over and how many points they get for it. We're not going to see that in this movie. It's because then they do it. We're just not going to get that, but that's the kind of wackiness I enjoy about it. What's your history, if any, with Toxie?
To be fairly honest, I've never watched a Trauma film. I have a friend who has worked with Lloyd Kaufman before.
Really?
He hired him. He worked on one of his projects. I know of Trauma is similar to like Roger Corman in a lot of ways. I never have gotten around to watching it, so I'm looking forward to see what they can do. But it's just like, do we really? It's like one of those things. Do we really need another Toxic Avenger? Like,
no, we don't. I mean, I like the Toxic Avenger. I grew up with it, and that's part of the reason I like it. Admittedly, if I saw it new now, I don't know if I'd love it as much. But yeah. And some of the other Trauma things, I grew up watching them on like USA Up All Night and stuff like that, which is where I get one of my ratings. But they are not good movies. There is no such thing as a good Trauma movie. They are so bad, and some of them are just bad too. The vast majority of them are just bad. But there are a few of them that they transcend that badness and just become kind of good because of it. And Toxic Avengers is one of them, the first one at least. It's an entertaining, so ridiculous, it's fun movie. But, no, I don't. My first gut instinct is, no, we don't need this. I will see this movie. And I like it. It's got look at the cast, man. I don't have it in front of me, but it has a stacked cast of like just those quirky, weird, out there characters that you're like, yeah, I could see them in a movie like this. But I'm just afraid they're gonna Hollywoodify it, if that's a word, just too much. And that is exactly what Trauma is not. They are the anti-Hollywood, and now they're being Hollywooded.
Well, I will say this. I said the same thing about the Evil Dead remake.
True.
I was completely wrong on that one. Yeah. That was really good. So, I mean, it's possible when it comes to... I don't know. Like I said, when it comes to these types of things, I get why they do it, but it's just like, how many more times do we need to see like a Friday the 13th remake? And
not anymore, probably, honestly, because those rights are in purgatory now. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Now, Elijah Wood being involved is kind of like... Yeah. He's involved. I don't think he's involved behind the camera, like as far as like producing credits or anything. If he was, I would say that kind of sheds some light on it because he is really hardcore into the indie scene and horror. And Toxic Avenger, while it kind of a comedy, falls under that banner.
Yeah.
But he's just a character in it. So I don't know how much weight he will carry as far as like, clout goes, as far as like keeping it on target. But I mean, I imagine we're going to get this thing probably in the next 6 to 8 months.
Right. Oh no, I was gonna say something I found out. Elijah Wood produced Mandy.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he does a lot of those, just kind of out there. He's all about the indie scene. I mean, he got that Lord of the Rings money, man. He gives no shits now. He's got Spectre Vision. He's making like creepy ass experimental games and stuff. I got a VR game.
Did you play Transference?
Yeah, I played the VR.
Did you play the VR version?
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
Yeah, well, and it never. The cool thing about that game, besides one or two times that like something actually did jump out at you, there wasn't ever any like thing that like attacked you or anything. It just had this atmosphere the whole time that was just creepy as fuck. It was very like, it was less Resident Evil and more Silent Hill in that way, if you will. You just felt like something was watching you and could jump out at any moment. There were a couple of times that there were this thing that showed up, but for the most part, it was just this really creepy ass atmosphere. But yeah, I like that game. I kept thinking I was gonna find that dog. in like that cooler or something. Never did, but I kept thinking we were going to find that dog or something in that cooler out back, I think. But Toxic Avenger, fans of Trauma, you might have something to look forward to. I don't know. And finally, the one, now I purposely didn't put the story here because I didn't want to get too far into it, but Dune is coming out. It's actually premiering this month or early next month at it's either Cannes or Vienna Film Festival, something like that, somewhere, exotic. Not here. I won't see it until it releases, but it's coming out, and it's Denis Villeneuve. I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan. I enjoy his work. I think he's a good filmmaker. I'm looking forward to this film. I'm also a big Dune fan. Now, we have been told that I'm a fan of the books and even David Lynch. I'm not a huge David Lynch fan, but I have a soft spot in my heart for the 1984 or 82. It's 82 or 84, I can't remember. But Dune film. It ain't perfect. It's got its flaws, but there's something about it that I grew up with it, so it brings me some nostalgia. But I'm a big Dune fan, and this movie is only the first half of the first Dune book. So they are already talking about Dune 2. I don't know if it's necessarily greenlit or not, but Denis Villeneuve was already talking about Dune 2 and wanting to get started on it. But he had some disparaging remarks, which, I mean, it might not be that big a deal, but the headline is that Dune 2 has Zendaya, who plays an important character in the first film, but or in the book at least. She is the protagonist, the main protagonist in the second movie. Now, without spoiling the story, the character she's playing, by the way, for those of you that haven't read the book but have seen the movie, the 1984 movie, she plays Sean Young's character. If any of you are old enough to know who Sean Young is. Sean Young played the female character, the love interest, pretty much, of Paul Atreides, who is the main character in Dune. I know I'm getting real deep with this shit now. I'm not even really getting that deep with as far as Dune goes, but the main character of Dune has always been Paul Atreides, not this other character. She is a important character. She is a main character, but she's not the main character. So that kind of has me wondering, are you changing it? What are we doing with the second Dune movie? Because what if she's the main, then where's Paul? But I know that we spoke earlier, and you had read part of Dune, not all of it, and you were. What are your thoughts on this? I'll let you say it.
Zendaya, however you say her name, she's pretty huge right now, so it makes sense that they would make her but Dune's gonna be really interesting when it comes out. I don't know how people are going to react to it, because as we talked about, the book is very in depth.
It's hard to get into.
It's a very in depth Frank Herbert story.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, Paul Atreides is the main character throughout the entire book, at least from what I heard. And like I told you, I heard that she's only in like 5 minutes of the first movie. So her being the main character, who knows? I mean, at this point, it's like, okay.
and by the way, just started to interject, when I thought back to our first story. This has nothing to do with a female being the main character.
Yeah.
This is nothing to do with that. This is to do with the book that this is supposed to be based on. It's supposed to be a very close adaptation of the book, is my understanding. That in the book, she, like as I said, this character is a very important character, but not the main character. Paul Atreides is the main character throughout, and also when we spoke earlier, and as you just said, her only being in approximately 5 minutes of the movie tells me that since this is the first half, that means the movie is probably going to cut off right around the point where we not meet the Fremen for the first time, but where Paul and his mother in the desert meet the Fremen, Which in the book, there's a lot of shit that happens that wasn't in like the previous movie and stuff that happens before all that. And that would be about the halfway point, so that makes sense. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, she definitely, that's when her character really comes into play in the story. So I understand why she would be a more predominant character in the story at that point. That makes sense. But it's that main character, her being the protagonist. I'm just like, please don't change. If you change this, selling Dune to the greater populace is going to be a tough. So I think if they can get people in theaters, they probably will like it. I think that if they can get people in there, from what I've heard about the film, and if they can make the right trailer and cut it and get people in there, I think that people will get invested in it and like it. But they got to get those butts and seats first. If you get to the point to where you get a sequel greenlit, Dune has a rabid following. There are people that have been following this series for a long time. You're going to piss off a lot of people if you make some drastic change like that. Now, maybe this... And once again, this is a report. It's a journalist who has written this. It's a headline. And also the story, the body of the story says it. This might be a misinterpretation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you misinterpret it. It's speaking English, but it might. Maybe they took it the wrong way. Maybe he's meaning something. Maybe he just means, because he said he really liked her as an actress. She did a great job. So maybe he just means that she's one of the protagonists. Because she is. She's a main character. And maybe we're just having this discussion for no reason, but just the way that it's phrased in this story, I'm like, I've been really looking forward to Dune, but that kind of makes me kind of say, whoa, what's going on here? What are we doing? Like, I hope they're not going to do anything drastic, like kill off Paul Atreides or something. That'd be a terrible fucking idea. Or sideline him. That wouldn't be good either. But that's coming from a Dune fan.
I mean, Timothée Chalamet, who's playing Paul Atreides, has such a upwards trajectory right now with his career. I don't see them sidelining him for, even though Zendaya is like, her career is going up as well. It's like, if you sideline one popular actor with another popular actor and then you wrap around the story and make it different, it doesn't make any sense.
It wouldn't, and it also would not make sense within the story itself for her character to come in and be it just, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna reserve. I mean, they haven't even started shooting the second movie yet. We'll see how this. Let's see how the first one goes first. But and then
I'm sure it's gonna look pretty.
Oh, I mean, I saw that new trailer footage they put out not long ago, and it looked. I mean, no shit. A lot of the CGI in that thing. The only reason I knew it was CGI was because I knew that didn't exist. I was like, I know they didn't build that. That's like too big. This movie didn't cost $4 billion. I mean, there's shots in it that look so real and so good, at least on what I was watching it on. I was like, holy shit, that looks fucking awesome. But especially
that
coming from
shot, man.
Yeah, I mean, and just like all of it, especially coming from a long-time lover of the book series, it just. I was like, yes, that look. I'm sold. This looks like Dune. And if it wasn't for the fact that I just know that this does not exist in real life, I would not know that was CGI. It's that good looking. The only thing that gave it away is that I just know it's not. It doesn't exist. By the way, anybody who's interested in Dune before the movie comes out, or even after, whenever, there is it's. I can't say that the acting is any worse than the old 80s one, but there's a sci-fi series from years back. There were just a few miniseries of Dune and Children of Dune. They were actually some pretty close adaptations of the book series. They are they're turn of the century, like 2000, early 2000s, I think. So there's a few effects here or there that you got to kind of just, look past. But if you're interested in getting a real deep dive on the Dune story, not Doom, and you want to watch, and you don't want to read the book, which I understand the book is a beast. You got to kind of have an alien encyclopedia to understand it. Yeah, it's worth checking out. Look for it. It's a sci-fi original series, but yeah, that's about all I've got as far as stories go this week. Before we jump into a little bit of Nick talk here, I did want to jump into this week's releases real quick. We don't have anything this Tuesday or Wednesday, But we have a few things coming out on Friday, August 20th, as of the recording of this. I always screw up this name. Reminiscence?
It's reminiscence, but I always call it reminiscence.
Reminiscence. Oh, yeah. Now I feel dumb, and it's okay. It's on the internet.
You look at the words like,
yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That is reminiscence. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's just. Okay. Moving on. I feel really fucking stupid. I did a trailer reaction for that movie, and I was sitting there fumbling with that word for the longest time. I swear I have an education, people. Anyway, Paw Patrol, the movie, I'll definitely be doing a review of that. The Protege, I don't know anything about that. You heard of that?
Yeah, it's Sam Jackson and like Michael Keaton's in it.
Really? Like
they're
Jackie
like assassins
Brown?
Or some shit.
Oh god, this is like
that. Actually, I didn't even think about that. It's a sequel to. We'll just say it's a sequel to Jackie Brown.
Yeah. There you go, people. You heard it here. Jackie Brown 2 called The Protege. Jackie Brown 2: The Protege. It's coming out this Friday. Go see it. The Night House, which we'll talk about in a second, because I know you just saw it and you loved it. Demonic, which I'm looking forward to. That's Neil Blomkamp's new flick. However, I try not to watch reviews of films that I haven't seen, or that I plan on reviewing that I haven't seen yet, and I just scrolled over something earlier today. Somebody saw an early... Now, it was a journalist. I don't always put a lot into what they say, but it said that it was not as good as they were hoping, but fuck them. What do they know? Flag Day, which is the Sean Penn and his daughter, I think, in real life.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good.
Yeah, it's I've heard that it's got good performances, all that. Risen, I don't know anything about that. And Habit. Heard about either of the Risen or Habit?
Nah, I didn't even know Neil Blomkamp was coming out with a new movie.
Yeah, this is the movie he made in the pandemic that nobody knew about. He made it during the pandemic, and the trailer looks pretty cool. It's like a it was just vague enough, but it appeared like this woman's mom is in like a coma, and she knows something, or the woman has to go inside someone's head, a la like The Cell or or something like that. But it's like
The Cell.
It's almost like a VR kind of thing. The Cell had beautiful imagery. It looked great. That one scene where he gets up and he's got the things attached to his back, and they go up all around and they start coming up. That looked awesome. The story was so, but
I thought it was all right.
Yeah, it looked amazing. But that guy made another movie called The Fall.
The Fall, yeah.
Was that what it was called? Yeah, really trippy, but same kind of thing. Story was like what the fuck, but the it was even more what the fuck. It was like out there, but visually it was a visual masterpiece, as they say. But no, this one it's almost like she's doing like VR, and she goes inside this woman's head. And she has to find something out while she's in there. There's some information she needs. And then when she comes out, I guess she brings something with her. I don't know. It's supernatural, but maybe it's not supernatural. It might be in her head. And I'm not really sure. It's very vague, but it looked cool. It looked kind of creepy and weird. And I like Neil Blomkamp, even his lesser films. And a lot of people's opinion, like Chappie. A lot of people say that's his worst film. I kind of like Chappie, I ain't gonna lie. But I got family in South Africa though, so I kind of like gravitate towards those films. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's the one I'm looking forward to most this week. But I'll be doing a review of Demonic and Reminiscence, that movie that I've gotten that name right every time, and probably Paw Patrol for sure. But yeah, that's this week's releases. If you guys are looking forward to any of those, and if any of you have heard of Risen or Habit, that's the only ones I've either myself or Nick have not heard of. Let me know in the comments below if either of them are worth checking out, and I absolutely will do so. So, I wanted to ask before we move on, The Night House. I know that you recently saw that. You saw that a little bit early.
Yep.
What can you tell us without just letting it all out of the bag? What did you think of The Night House? Does everybody who's listening need to go run out and see that immediately?
Well, I was excited. It was the same night as the Dark City stuff was told, but um,
Trailer looks
the Night
interesting.
House. Yeah, the trailer's awesome. I think it's a good looking trailer. The trailer and the actual movie are completely separate things. The payoff in the movie is not that great. Rebecca Hall is fucking awesome in the movie.
Cool.
But the stuff that the movie, the movie is in the trailer, but she loses her husband. She's dealing with the issues of that, and she's really good in it. She gives a great performance. But like I said in my review, the movie falls under the weight of its own stupidity and its own bullshit, and it's just not a very good movie. Like there's stuff that's brought up, which is really intriguing and fascinating, and it doesn't pay it off. It doesn't come to any interesting conclusions, and it leads to. I think I'm going to do an ending explains video on it, but it leads to some interesting ideas that just don't pay off very well. So.
I thought I gotta ask this because I'm probably not. I'll probably see it eventually, but I'm not gonna see it here, unless this is some big ass spoiler. You could tell me. I don't want to spoil it, but in the trailer they said that from what I picked up, that there is like, I guess across the lake or across the way or something like that, there was a house that was the same house that they live in but reversed. Did I get that right? Is that what they said?
I will say there is another house, but I won't go into details on what the house involves.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
like the movie itself, the concept of what you see in the trailer is much more interesting than the actual payoff. That's where I'll leave it at.
So this
movie,
I
don't, like I said, I'm going to do an ending explains for Friday when it comes out, but it has such a good, like, everybody in the movie is so good, especially I think Rebecca Hall is an Oscar worthy performance, and it's just I don't understand what the director, I can't remember who the director is, but sometimes they get, like we talked about earlier, sometimes they just get into their own garbage, and
so
it was frustrating.
It sounds like they had a great idea, but they didn't know how to pay it off.
Yes.
That sucks, but well, I'll check it out eventually. Maybe this weekend, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I might rent it or download it or something.
Is it coming out on VOD as well, or is it only theaters?
Probably it'll probably be a couple weeks, like a month or so.
Yeah, I might. I don't know if I'll go to theaters to see it, but I don't know. I'll probably I'll rent it whenever it comes out or something. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you heard it here first. Well, I don't know. If you subscribe to Nick, you didn't hear it here first, but you heard it here at least second. Night House, maybe worth waiting for a rent or streaming or something as far as my scale goes, my wacky rating scale, which I'm still convinced. Somebody told me that you'd have a lot more subscribers if we understood what your ratings meant. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, they told me that too. They even told me, why don't you have a grading system? Like, grading systems are bullshit. Like, I can't remember. Do you give a grade?
I don't give a grade. I give an idea. Ever since I started, I say, like, I guess I have a rating. I did a whole video about this once, trying to explain it to just clarify. I have dumpster fire, which is just that's kind of self-explanatory. If a movie's a dumpster fire, it's just there's no redeeming qualities, and I try and find redeeming qualities in movies. There's check it out on USA Up All Night, which means there ain't much here, but if like you ain't got nothing else to do and you have a cursory interest in this and it's on cable and you still have cable, maybe check it out while you're vacuuming your living room or something. And then I have probably my one that a lot of stuff falls into. Check it out on streaming, meaning, don't run out and see it. Don't pay anything. But if it shows up on a streaming platform, it's worth, for a night. It's your average movie. Worth a rent. That means, hey, it's really good and you'll probably enjoy it, and it's worth spending some money on, but you're probably never going to watch it again. So it's worth seeing it at least that first time. Worth a buy means you're probably going to want to watch this multiple times. This is primo movie, and then Unicorn, which is just like this is the creme de la creme, best These are the movies. Yeah, because I always, me myself, once again, we're getting off subject, but whatever, it is what it is. I don't talk. When I first started this channel, I said to myself, I don't want to do, because I really thought about that a long time when I first started it. I was like, do I want to do like A, B, C, D, E, F, G or whatever, or like 1 to 10 or 1 out of 5? And I was like, but I thought about it and I was like, when I talk to people I know, do I go, oh yeah, I saw this movie, it's worth seeing, and it's a 4 out of 5 stars? I never say that shit. I'm like, yeah,
so, such arbitrary nonsense.
Yeah, I'm
like what
compared to what?
Do the same, yeah, but you do the same thing like that Jeremy Jahns does, where he'll go like it's dog shit or something like that. It's like, yeah. I'm fine with those types. I'm fine with those types of scores. For instance, a guy, Movies and Munchies or whatever, he does like couches or whatever, couches. Which is yeah. I'm like, that's fine. But when people go, I'm giving it an A, like Chris Stuckman did. It's like, but it doesn't mean anything. He even said it doesn't really mean anything. It's just an arbitrary number. It's like, you know, you giving it like a unicorn. It's just something that you believe. It doesn't necessarily mean someone else is gonna believe it. But I like the fact that you're being more creative than just giving it a number or a letter.
All right, so we had a little technical malfunction there for a second, and things went offline for a second, but we're back, and I think we were talking about ratings and, you know, how having numbers and letters and all that, and like my rating system and your rating, you just kind of don't have one, which I agree with, and yeah. I always said that, like, with my rating system, which is, I don't know how much of a rating system it is, I did want to give people a point of reference as far as my headspace, just overall point of reference, but I didn't want to do like just 1, 2, 3 or ABC. I wanted to, when I talk to my friends or anybody I know, and they're like at work, a lot of people know I watch a lot of movies. They don't know I do this, but they know I watch a lot of movies, and they're like, hey, did you see this movie this weekend? I'm like, yeah. You know, what'd you think? And like when I'm talking, I don't go, oh, it's a 4 out of 5. I'll be like, you know, it's. I'd probably wait till it's, you know, shows up on Netflix or something like that, or yeah, you just check it out, rent it, or you got to go see that shit at the movie theaters right now. That's kind of where my rating system evolved, if it's even a rating system. I mean, it's not really a number rating, because there are some movies that I've rated over the years that like might have a lower technically rating on my scale than another movie, but I think it's a better movie. Right. This is what it is. I've always said, if you want to know my thoughts on the movie, if you want to know what I thought, watch the review. Listen to what I say. I say it there. By the time I get to the rating, you should have a pretty good idea of where I'm going with it. Because when I sit down, there are probably, for me at least, because I don't script anything, I watch the movie and I just go shoot it. Sometimes I shoot it a day later, but I purposely don't write anything down. I just kind of go. Probably could be more organized with that, but whatever. Like sometimes I'll sit down and I don't know what rating I'm going to give it. I mean, I know if I liked a movie or not, but sometimes I don't know where I'm going to land on it. Sometimes it's me getting those thoughts out and vocalizing them that makes me say, I think this movie was this. Now, there are times when I'm like, that was this or that was that before I get started, but a lot of times I don't even know. I've never really cared for I could give a shit less what rating someone gives a movie usually. I'm more interested in what did you think about it? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought you were continuing. I'm sorry. No. I spaced out there for a second. Yeah, no, it's just I used to follow IGN a lot. Like I said, Chris Stuckman, I followed for a long time, and I got to a point where I'd read a review and it would make me angry because they gave it a 7 out of 10 and I disagree with that, or they gave it a 4 and I disagree. I'm like, I just want to go in there, tell you my thoughts on the movie, not even give it a rating. I do that for TV shows sometimes where I'll give it like a, I'll be like, I'll give this like an 8 out of 10 or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. But when it goes to like reviews and I'm trying to get away from the whole number system, it's just, the whole point of a review is your opinion is not to give a finite point at the end with a specific number, because that just makes everyone pissed off. And I don't want to be that. I just want to make everyone pissed off because the fact I said the movie sucked,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I have major issues with numbering systems and feel like is like a crutch sometimes, but everybody's different. Everybody's their own opinion. So I feel like if you're trying to get yourself to that 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, then you're not just, unless you're like a really good writer, you're not justifying yourself to the point of what's even the point of 7 out of 10. Justify it in your actual review, not wait till you get to that 7 out of 10, because people are going to go straight to that 7 out of 10 and go, what the fuck? I didn't even read the review, but what the fuck? You get it a 7 out of 10. So that's the reason I do that. So that's my stance.
And I mean, I like that approach, and that's while I technically, I guess, give a rating. Like I said, my rating is just, this is what I would tell my friends if they said, should I go watch this? Wait for streaming. These are the ways that I know you consume film, and this is how I think you should see it. I mean, you attach what value you think that is. Or you could just listen to the review and see what I thought of it. Because believe me, if it's a piece of shit movie, I will say, this movie fucking sucked. If I thought it was great, I'll say this movie was great.
Yep.
But, all right, so let's dive into the world of Movie Emporium a little bit before we get out of here. I got a couple of questions. Some of these are the standardized questions I've asked the plethora of people I've had on here. You're the third one, by the way. But some of these are, some of them are new. But just some little things to pick your brain, and just so the viewers can get to know you and your channel a little bit more, so they'll go over there and check you out. But I guess probably this is one of the two, actually these first two questions are the most generic. These are the most generic questions you could ask in an interview setting, especially when it comes to what we do. But I'm going to ask them anyway.
Yes, the answer is yes, I do feel old. Thank you very much, you son of a bitch.
Me too. Sometimes. No, okay, so I'll go with the first one. What made you want to start YouTube?
Well, I was a young lad. I grew up in a poor... I was getting ready to say the...
Vietnamese?
What's that movie? No. The Jerk. I grew up a poor black child.
Oh, yeah. Man, that movie would never come out nowadays.
No. That and Blazing Saddles.
Oh, God.
Never have.
It should, though.
But the honest opinion, the reason I started the YouTube channel, because no one listens to me. This is honest opinion. No one ever listens to me when I review. People actually hate when I review, especially my friends. They don't listen to me. They don't have anyone to do anything. My parents and all that. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump into the Shark Tank that is YouTube and start reviewing things, so I know people will watch it there. And I started as a podcast, and then I'm like, I don't feel like doing a podcast anymore. So first review, Mission Impossible 7, and went from there. And now I have some subscribers, I guess. But yeah, that was the reason. I wanted an outlet to talk about movies.
I didn't know that you started as a podcast. I didn't, like, on your on the Movie Emporium channel? You did, or was it a different channel?
Yeah, it was like a 4-week podcast or whatever. Well, it didn't last very long.
Oh, okay. Well, because I never knew there were podcasts on there. I can't say, I mean, I've consumed a lot of your content, but you release a lot. I can't say that I've seen every single thing, so I didn't realize that you had a podcast.
I wouldn't expect. Yeah, if you go back,
I watch a lot of YouTube, by the way, a lot.
You and me both. If you go back to like the very beginning, there's one where I interview my grandmother who worked in the film industry.
Oh, that's cool.
There may be a couple other episodes where I have a friend named Rob that he was part of it for a couple weeks, and then like I told him, I straight out told him, I said I think I just want to do this on my own. I went and did it on my own. So
what did she do in the film industry?
She was a film commissioner of the state of Ohio.
Oh,
so if you I've told the story like a billion times, but if you ever want to go and look her up to see who she is, her name's Eve Lapola, but she worked on getting film commissioners basically scout for films. So for instance, Shawshank Redemption, she was big in getting it to that person that was in the movie. And
no, wait, never mind, wrong movie. The prison that was maybe it was sorry to cut you off.
It's in Mansfield, Ohio.
Okay, yeah, not that one. I'm thinking of the Green Mile. The prison that the Green Mile was filmed at, I work right down the street from.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff when you go, oh yeah. But she just for 30 years worked for state of Ohio as a film commissioner, worked as a assistant for Robert Redford for 10 years and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
That was that's how I got my movie knowledge that I have. And then I have a cousin who worked as a gaffer, and he just recently worked on 3 from Hell, a zombie movie. Zombie movie.
Rob Zombie,
yeah. So, but
is he working on the Munsters?
My YouTube.
Is he working on the Munsters with Rob Zombie? I don't know, man. The Munsters looks kind of. I've never been a huge Munsters fan or anything, but Rob Zombie definitely is, and it seems like he's got a passion for it. So maybe Rob Zombie doing a family film kind of feels weird, but Tim Burton did.
Yeah, Eli Roth did the
clock in the walls.
Yeah, clock. Yeah, some whatever.
The house with the walls and the clock, or clock in the I don't know. The Jack Black.
The house of balls on my face.
Yeah, that's a different movie. That's on a website. It's a Pornhub.
No, but YouTube was just it became an outlet for me to talk about what I love. So,
right on. I feel you.
Yeah.
Kind of. I figured it was something along those lines. Okay, so here's the other most generic question ever to ask someone in their position. And actually, this is a two-parter, but I have 2 of these, but I'm only going to ask one of them. I have in parentheses out to the side of this. I purposely did not include it on the notes that I sent you.
Okay.
I have in parentheses, I hate this fucking question.
I hate it, but I'm going to ask it.
But I'm going to ask it anyway. What is your favorite movie?
Oh god, that is such a terrible question.
It is. I hate this fucking question.
Yeah, because I asked someone one time what their favorite movie was, and it varies from day to day. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. No, mine's Schindler's List.
Oh, such a good pick. Absolutely one of my top 5 for sure. Top 5.
Now is it the movie I watch every day? Not really.
No.
That would be like trying to think, Clerks or
the first one.
Yeah, One Crazy Summer.
Another movie, Clerks, I saw in movie theaters. I wasn't all by myself this time. There was one other group in there, but my dad and my sister took me to see that movie. But yeah, it was only us and this one other couple in there. So another movie I saw when it came out in theaters all by ourselves, essentially. I don't know.
Nice.
I think every movie I've seen in theaters all by myself ends up being a cult classic. Species, that's another one. Anyway, all right, cool. Yeah, Schindler's List. That's a fantastic pick. That is a movie I made my kids watch it, and I told them.
Oh man!
I said because they don't teach. They've gotten away from teaching about World War II and the Holocaust and all that stuff in schools, and they're acting. I mean, they all know it happened, but they just don't teach it. They don't talk about it. And I'm like, you guys want this shit to happen again? You gotta teach it, man. And I told my kids, I was like,
that's a whole different podcast we could talk about.
Yeah, you gotta know this. You gotta see it, man. I mean, like we come up on 4th of July and they don't know any of that stuff or anything. And I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm more patriotic than I ever thought, but. I was just started preaching to them about it. I made them watch that movie, and they were kind of horrified. But I told them, I said, it's horrifying, but this is it's a movie, but it's this shit happened. You need to see this stuff. This is your history, and if you don't know it, you run the risk of it happening again. But yeah, that's a fantastic film. 2 of my favorite films ever made were that Steven Spielberg movies, that one and Jaws.
Yes, Jaws is awesome.
All right, so what's the not your first? What's your favorite video that you have made, whether on here on YouTube or otherwise? What's your favorite video that you've ever produced?
Actually, Triv asked me this question as well.
Really?
And this is well, we were just bullshitting, but this is kind of cliche, but literally the Mission Impossible 7 review, as terrible as it is my proudest video, because it's the first time I actually took the chance to do anything. I mean, I could say yeah, I can say the Mystery Men's one of my favorites because it was so good with me and Trib. But doing that first video, as stupid as it sounds, is my proudest moment. I'll never forget.
Oh no,
being scared
absolutely,
to death
I get
putting
it.
that video up.
Oh, totally. I absolutely get that because, I mean, I know me personally. I hate to say dreamed. That sounds like I just sat around dreaming about being a YouTuber, but I had wanted to do. I had thought about like extensively doing something like this for years. Like, in fact, I wrote my first review to put on the internet. Maybe YouTube, just on the internet back then. We didn't really think of YouTube as a big, huge platform, but like in 2000, what year did Alice in Wonderland come out? 2010? 2009?
Yeah,
2007?
something like that.
I don't know.
Nah,
This is a while
I
back.
can look it up.
It was the night that came out. My friends, I got this group of friends who were really big into like Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton, and all that stuff. And they wanted me to go with them, and I took my 3 kids at the time. I was single at the time, and I took them and we went and saw. I fucking hated that movie. I hated it with a fucking passion. And I went home and I rage wrote a review, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm making a. I didn't know the word channel back then, but I was like, I'm going online and making videos about movies. I had all this stuff, and what happened was I overproduced it, and got I think I scared myself for it or something. So I've still got that review, but I totally get it because when you finally, I don't want to say got the balls, I don't know, maybe, but like when you finally put it out there, you felt like, even if it is, then now you look back, I don't know, maybe not, but I look back at my first one and I'm like, oh my God. But
yeah, it's pretty bad.
yeah, I don't take it down because that's where I started. Because I'm proud. I get what you're saying, though. I absolutely get it. I'm proud of that because, I did it. That's showing I started. That's where I started. That's what I did that. It's bad.
Yeah, I am.
But I did it.
Back in the day, like, I don't know, 2004 or 5, I was, for the hell of it, Garth Franklin of Dark Horizons was like one of the original movie channel sites, and he would allow fan reviews to go on there, so I would like review that stuff every once in a while. But I'm like, I tell Triv all the time, I'm like, man, I wish I had been doing this in 2009. I wouldn't be fucking working right now.
Right. If I had started that night and just gone ahead and fucking done it, I could be I could be fucking Chris Stuckman. Even though I get compared to him a lot because of my background. Fuckers. Well, he's not reviewing movies anymore, so maybe people stop that shit. Probably not. He's got a shit ton of videos out there.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there's a lot of people copying a lot of people on YouTube right now, so you're fine.
The funny thing is I say this to people, and I don't think anybody ever believes it. And I get it when I look at it. I'm like, okay, I see the similarities when I change my background. I think it's the blue light, because blue is like, the people don't get it. Blue is like, well, at least with my background, it's like one of the only lights that shows up on my background. I wanted to go green,
right?
But green just doesn't fucking show up. But blue is like the only color. Red doesn't show up because my fucking background is red. So blue is the only color that shows up. I think that's what really sets it off. But people are like, you got shelves with movies on it behind you and other movie memorabilia. You're just trying to be Chris Tuckman. I'm like, do you think he's the first motherfucker who did that shit on the internet? No, tons of people. Look at pretty much at least 60% of the other reviewers out there that are talking heads have shelves behind them with movie memorabilia and stuff that they're reviewing things on. Get the fuck off my back.
But you know what my background set is? A bunch of props on a windowsill. That's all I use. That's all I have room for.
Well, see, that's what I tell people. I'm like, I don't have up until literally tonight. I started changing my background tonight. I'm moving rooms. I have a lot more space now. But up until this point, almost in September, 3 years I've been doing this. I've been in a fucking closet like Harry Potter doing this shit in literally the laundry closet. I'm in a corner. If you took my camera that is looking at a corner and tilted it this way like that, you would see a washer and dryer and like all these racks and stuff. I am crammed in this itty bitty space. But now it's about to change. All you fuckers saying I'm like Chris Stuckman. I don't know what it's going to look like because I got it out there and said, oh, that's a lot more room than I thought. But it's about to fucking change. Anyway, this is about you, not me. So yeah, I totally get that. Your first video is that is something you should be proud of. Don't ever take that down, or that's my opinion. I'll never take mine down.
I thought about it, but I'm like, yeah.
No, man, don't. Because if anybody ever says anything about your videos, just say, go back and look at my first one.
watch my iPhone video.
Yeah. Shot mine on a Samsung Galaxy Note with no microphone. Yeah, check that. And technically, mine is not that. My first video was a Fallout VR. I called it a review. It was really just gameplay footage of me playing Fallout VR, and the only reason I had it was because I got on Humble Bundle this free video capturing software. So I was like, oh, that's cool, and I captured that, and I was like, I'll do voiceover. And then I took my cell phone with like a headset and voiceovered just me talking about this stuff that I was doing. I called it a review. It was 45 minutes long. Of me just talking over random Fallout 4 VR footage back when I thought I was going to have I don't know what the fuck I thought my channel was going to be. So yeah, that was the first one. And then Beat Saber, and then I said, I'm going to do movies. And I did The Predator. Anywho. So yeah, okay. So that's where the channel started, your channel, with Mission Impossible. What's next for the channel? Movie Emporium.
Well, I just had my third year anniversary on July 27th.
Mm-hmm.
As you're aware, Triv helped me with that video, as well as Dan Jensen helped me with like my new intro.
That I knew, by the way, before you said it. When I saw that, I was like, "That's the HBO." That reminds me of the HBO. Yeah, I did. Before you even said it, I said that reminds
awesome.
me of the HBO entrance with the da na 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 na.
Yes, yep. I asked Triv. I said, "Are you interested?" Because she likes to do these types of things. I said, "Are you interested in doing an intro for me?" And she said, sure. What do you want? I'm like, do you remember the old HBO 80s logo with the little miniature cars and pans up and it goes through the HBO logo? And she's like, not really. And I sent it to her and she's like, oh yeah, let me work something out. And Dan of his own channel created the music that was similar in score, but nobody. I'm actually excited that you actually realized what that was, but that's kind of awesome actually. But that was the whole plan. I wanted a new intro, a new outro. The Twilight Zone thing is kind of on hold right now because we're trying to figure out a good time to start it. But that's pretty much my goal, is just to kind of expand. Like I said, I don't know what the pandemic was like for you when it comes to your channel, but not to
it was great.
Was it? No, it was.
I hate to say that.
I went from 600 subscribers in my second year to now I'm at like 2,300 subscribers. I'm not saying like I'm the greatest person in the world, but as you're aware, it's like, what the fuck happened? It's like people are dying and I'm getting subscribers. I'm like,
yeah,
I feel like being humble about it, but it was a good feeling.
I hate to say it, but I do not mean this insensitively to people, but the pandemic was the best thing that ever happened to my channel. And like you said, I'm nowhere near the biggest thing in the world. I mean, I ain't making hardly anything off of this whole thing as yet. I do admittedly, my goal is to one day hopefully be able to do this, for a living. But when that all started, I was somewhere in the 400 to 500 range, and now I'm at I think right under like 22, right under 22, 22.5, something like that.
And see, the way I look at the subscriber thing is I've passed people that I really respect, and I try not to gloat about it. And it's just weird, like how because I posted that Bliss Ending Explains video, and all of a sudden it's at like almost 70,000 views, and I'm like, I never expected any of this, because my whole point, like I told you, is I just want an outlet to talk about movies. And I posted some videos that have done 70,000 views. I'm like, sure, Google, give me some money, I guess. And then I started seeing my channel just explode up to like 2,300 subscribers, and I'm like, I'm blessed. I'm very humbled by that, and I hate when people like gloat about it. Not saying you can't be excited about it, but
Yeah.
there's some people that will literally gloat and make everybody feel, stupid. Feel like they're important. And
well, you
honestly,
get the people that will talk to someone and be like, they will talk down to you because they're like, well, I'm 10,000 subscribers. What do you? You're only this. You're only that. So the fuck what? Because while I don't think my content's like the greatest content in the world, we can always grow. There are people that have bigger channels than mine that I'm like, I know that I put out stuff that's higher quality in some ways than that.
At least you have good audio. I told Triv, I said the best way to have good content, have good audio and good personality. If you don't have either of those, you're not. But I don't want to start like bashing, belittling people. But yeah, like you were asking what my future looks like. I'm just, I put up a T-shirt store which hasn't sold anything, but I did that.
I feel you.
Year 4, I'm aiming. Year 4, I'm aiming for like a Patreon at some point, which I'm very kind of stupid when it comes to that stuff, but
me too. I had to learn all that. I just recently did all that stuff, and I've started it and the only reason I felt really weird doing it. I felt really weird putting the T-shirt and hoodie thing. I've only got like 1 or 2 things on my treat. Well, it's called Spring now, I guess is what it's called, or the one I use. I felt so weird putting merch out there, as they say, with like my stuff on it. I was like, this is the most vain thing I've ever done in my life. But people asked for it. But the weird thing is I had like not like a shit ton, but I had enough people ask for it that I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then like hardly anybody bought anything. Which is fine. I mean, I didn't expect it to be some big income, like it's like, this is what's gonna do it, this is how I'm going like solo. But I was like, all these people asked for it, but then I do it and then they don't want it. Same thing with Patreon, which I did have a couple of people join that, but Patreon was another one that they asked for it, and I really just didn't know anything about Patreon. Hell, I don't even know if I still do, and I use it, but you just get in there and do it. And you mentioned the podcast.
Yeah.
You mentioned the podcast a minute ago, and you said you guys are trying to figure out the best time to do it. I'll tell you, man, because I talked about doing this podcast for a long time, and not to say that it's really taken off or anything, but, it takes time to find your rhythm, I guess, with it. The best time to do it is just like the best time to do the videos. Just now.
Yeah, the main problem is just time. It's just finding, because she's really busy with work, and I'm really busy, and
sure,
it's, for instance, this week I got like 3 fucking screenings to go to, which
it's a good problem
we've talked about. It is the bad thing about the screening is I have to go there early and wait in line, but it's
are they those first come first serve ones?
Yeah, I wish they would go back to virtual screenings. At least I don't have to wait in a theater. I'm trying. I put in an application for press, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's how I look at my future. Just continue where I'm at. I don't really have any super needy goals. Maybe one day actually have a screenplay or something I've written or something. I don't know. I go by the seat of my pants a lot. I'm with you. I don't write scripts out when it comes to my reviews. Sometimes it takes me 20 takes, but I'll get it eventually. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll take 45-minute video and turn it into a 6-minute video. Yeah. I cut all kinds of shit out. I have a video I made of the making of one of my videos. I made this thing like, holy shit, it's been like 8 months ago I recorded that, and it's still sitting on my hard drive. And I've got to edit that. That's of me editing. That's weird. But yeah, I was going to unleash that on the public at some point for those that, a few people expressed interest in it, to let them see this is what goes into making these things. It's not, I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world. I'm not curing brain cancer or anything, but it's, I do want people to understand that there is more than you think. It's more than I thought. There's more than you think that goes into this whole thing that we do here. I mean, once again, we're not rocket science. We're not curing, AIDS, but there's work.
Yeah.
Like, the people that do this for a living, they are working. There is a grind, and it gets stressful sometimes.
I can't. I'm sure you're the same way, even with you having kids and stuff like that. I can't tell how many times I've slept like 3 hours gone to work after doing a review because the review takes way too long to upload.
Last night.
And just, yeah.
Probably tonight. But yeah, man, that's all the time. But well, you mentioned I know you said that it's on you're still working on figuring out the timing for it, but you mentioned a podcast. Tell us about that a little. I know Triv mentioned it as well. She's the one that you will be doing the podcast with, but give us some insight, some of the viewers, some insight on this podcast you guys are working on.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be soon, but if anybody knows me, I'm a huge fan of Twilight Zone. Not Twilight, the Twilight Zone. The original Rod Serling, crazy, predictable when it comes to predicting current state of America. And she's a huge Twilight Zone fan as well. And I'm like, you know what? Would you be interested in doing a podcast? I've asked other people. They said no. I've invited,
really?
I think I invited. Yeah, it's really weird. I've invited you to come on. Like, you more than welcome to come on at any point.
Absolutely. I love the Twilight Zone.
It's such a great series. And I want to talk about it because it's one of those series like Friends or Lost where I just get really into talking about like the nuts and bolts on what made that series so popular. And I swear to God, you can go and watch certain episodes of Twilight Zone and then look at the state of America today. Not trying to get into geopolitics or politics or anything like that. It's scary. It really is scary how much he was able to kind of see the future in his aspects of his kind of logical thinking and kind of predict how Americans, no matter what decade you're in, will always be able to predict the same thing about what they're going to do. So, I mean, that's not how the podcast is going to go, but that's how my feel of the Twilight Zone. But I wanted to go, for 156 episodes, talk about each original episode, and then maybe talk about the movie at some point, and maybe get into. I don't know if you remember the '80s Twilight Zone, but there was an episode called Mother, where it was about this kid who watches his grandmother who's possessed by some kind of demon, and it was.
I vaguely I remember some. I didn't get into the '80s one as much as I did the OG Rod Serling one. I've seen all of those. I binged those like probably. Oh my God, it's been 15 or so years ago. Back when you rented Netflix movies on disc, I had seen a bunch of them already, but I went ahead and like rented all like the box set. They sent me 3 at a time, and I watched all of them back to back to back. I love that series. I always did as a kid. And the cool thing about the original one, I remember the 80s one. I've seen some of them. I would get the 80s one mixed up with the Outer Limits because it had a resurgence back then too, and they were similar in some respects. The Outer Limits was kind of like the GoBots to the Transformers as for Twilight Zone, but they there was never, from what I remember, what really astounded me about the Twilight Zone was out of 150 episodes or something like that, or 160.
Yeah, it was like 156. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah,
there was never a bad one. There was never a bad Twilight Zone episode. There were definitely some that were better than others, but there was never like just one that was like, well, that sucked, or that was a waste of time. But that'd be a really interesting. I'd love to hear that. What I asked Triv this. What we talked about the movie too. And I like the 80s movie with Dan Aykroyd and Steven Spielberg produced, and I think he directed the one about the old folks home, if I remember correctly. But I have fond memories of that movie. But
am I out of focus, by the way?
You are.
Why am I? Like, he does this sometimes where I don't know how to fix it.
Put your hand up against the like that, and then pull it back. There you go.
Oh, I
don't know why. Mine does it sometimes.
Yeah, I have like.
It's like I have to refocus.
That's so weird. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I saw it. I could tell you were like looking around. I was like, I'll let him try and figure it out. But anyway, what is your? This kind of goes back to that worst question a minute ago, but I guess it's a little bit easier with this. Do you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode from the OGs?
Well, I mean, Yeah, I always go to the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Which one?
One
is
of my
that?
favorites.
I know that name.
The one that's the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. It's these people live in this small suburban town, and the power keeps going out in this town, and they start accusing each other of causing.
Yeah, the whole
They all
starts going against each other and everything. And yeah, I remember
one of the
that
people
one.
gets murdered, and yeah.
It
It ends up being aliens,
and it was like the radio broadcast going on and everything at the same time.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
But my one of my all-time favorites is, well, actually, I'll give you two. Elegy, which is not a great one, but I love, is the one about 3 astronauts. They go on a planet and everybody's a statue or dummy. And basically, what's great about the episode is not only that you find out that it's basically a park set up for people that are dead, and they've been, what's that thing that they put into them when they're dead? They're embalmed. But the whole place is like this rich person dead park where everybody's just kind of put into positions and stuff like that. It's a really cool episode, but there's parts in it where, because everybody's still, you can actually see them move because they have to stand still. So the other one is The Howling Man, the one about the devil. This guy ends up at a castle, and the guy's like, don't let him out because he's the devil and he'll trick you. And at the very end, the guy that let the devil out has trapped the devil into another room, says to the house cleaning person, don't let him out because he's the devil, he'll start the apocalypse, and she ends up letting him out and stuff like that. So yeah, those are some of them.
I told Triv this. I don't remember the name of it, but there's so many great episodes. But the one that every time someone says the Twilight Zone, the one that pops into my memory, and it's probably not the greatest episode, but it's just the one I remember, and I thought it was it was quintessential. I've already said that once, but quintessential Twilight Zone. It's the one that just encapsulates what the Twilight Zone was, very much like Tales from the Crypt. I got Tales from the Crypt on the brain. I just did a review of that today. But that way that, like, you have this story that there's always that Shyamalan twist in the end. That's what Twilight Zone did so well, way before M. Night. But the one where you've got this woman, she's in a house, and it's almost like frontier times is what we get the idea of, and she's in there, and like her house becomes like under like attack, like there's something outside like banging on the roof and all this, and then like these weird things start coming in, and they're like even a robot. She's just like fighting for her life the whole time and everything. And then something, I can't remember specifically, but something comes in there, like a robotic thing, and she beats the living shit out of it, and she hears something up on the roof, and she climbs up on the roof, and there's this UFO up there, and she beats the living fuck out of it. And then the camera pans around, and you start hearing a transmission in English, and it's and you see the American flag or something like that. It says NASA or whatever it was. They say, we've encountered, on our expedition to this new planet, we've encountered giants, and they are hostile. And then you realize the whole time the woman never said one single word. Because she's alone. There's no one to talk to. You don't really think about it. She grunts and yells and screams a lot, but she never said one single word. And she was the alien the whole time. And the little creatures that we thought were attacking her were just us, astronauts, exploring. And she attacked because she didn't know what they were. She was scared of them. And I was like, that's the Twilight Zone. That is what the Twilight Zone did so well. They always made you think one thing and then just pull the rug from underneath you right there at the end. That's perfect Twilight Zone. That's the one I always think of. There's probably better episodes, but that one is just what I've always thought encapsulated what the Twilight Zone is.
Well, there's I'll leave it at this. There's one episode that does exactly what you're talking about, where there's always like the one episode where the 3 men land on a rocket on a surface, whatever, but these guys land on the surface and they are in the middle of the desert. They have no water. three of the men, or two of the three men, are killed by the one guy, and he's traveling through the desert, or whatever, through the Rocky Mountain area. He looks over a ravine, and he sees cars in a military installation. So basically, they've been in the middle of Arizona or whatever the whole time. He killed the guys for no specific reason, and he was actually on Earth the whole time. So that's, like you said, it's pure Twilight Zone when it's doing that misdirect, when you think it's one thing and it's another, and it's
got a Planet of the Apes.
That's what I love about it. Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned the movie, the 80, I want to say 84, I could be wrong. This is mid-80s Steven Spielberg produced flick. I really like that movie. It's got, because it mostly, I can't remember if it's all of them. I know a few of the episodes. I remember seeing the originals on the originals. It's retellings, most of it at least, retellings of original episodes, like what is it, Fear at 3,000 feet or whatever it is.
Yeah, Nightmare 10,000 feet.
Yeah, something like that. And not 3,000 feet, but the one with the guy where the people tragically, in real life, the man and the two kids died because the helicopter fell on them in real life. The Vietnam one, that's from, it wasn't Vietnam, I think it was Germany, Nazis. But there was one similar to that on the original Twilight Zone. I don't remember the elderly home one. That may have been original.
No, that one is called Kick the Can on the series. It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be. Yeah. I think you are. Well, obviously you're right. But the last one though, I think that was an original one, or not an original. That was in the original show as well, the one with the kid.
Yeah.
But it was really different. That one, the one with the kid who could wish things, always freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah,
the girl with no mouth, and she's sitting there watching the show, and it like pans up, and you just see her like that, and it comes up, she's going like that, watching the TV, and all the fucked up things he did. And what really stuck with me when I was a kid for some reason was I was like, because in the end, I guess if I remember correctly, he just wiped out everything, and it was just him and this teacher in like a fucking field of flowers. I was like, what happened to the rest of the people? Are they just like, that stuck with me. I was like, so now they just never existed? He wiped them away from existence? They just aren't there? They didn't even die. This shit kept me up at night. It's like, where did they go? But yeah, I thought it was a pretty neat movie. And of course, the Dan Aykroyd one of, you want to see something really scary?
Yeah. Well, what's really great about those that movie is the first one's directed by John Landis, notoriously known. Yep. Second one was Spielberg. Third one was Joe Dante. And the fourth one was George Miller. George Miller did Mad Max.
That was George Miller. That's right. I thought Spielberg did the Kick the Can one.
Yeah, which was the second. Was that
the
second or third one?
Because the second
it could
one
have been
was Joe Dante did the one with the concentration camp, right? And
no, that was John Landis.
That's right, because he was like under. They were like, he had to go to court and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, cool. Twilight Zone podcast. What do you guys? I forgot. She said. I think you said. What is the name of it going to be?
It's I think it's called the fifth. If I remember right, the Fifth Dimension. Because Rod Serling says in his monologue, "Into the Fifth Dimension" or something like that.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. That's a wholly different podcast.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, if you guys ever need somebody to come on, I would be delighted to come talk some Twilight Zone. Any excuse? Have you seen the? I've not, but I've heard good things about it. The not Key. Oh, what's
the Jordan Peele?
Yeah, Jordan Peele. The Jordan Peele update. Twilight Zone.
I watched the first two, and I don't think I watched anything after that. I just never went back to it. It was fine.
Yeah, okay. I heard it was. I mean, he tends to do pretty good, at least interesting stuff. But
yeah.
I mean, his new movie's named Nope. I don't know if you saw that. It's just called Nope.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm curious to see what that is. Anyway, podcast Fifth Dimension is coming soon. You guys check that out when it comes out. So just about
done here, but here's one. I actually like this question, even though it's maybe not the easiest one, or you might have an answer for it right out the gate. But I know my answer to this. But what's the one video or topic you want to do? Like, you really want to do a video about this thing or topic, but you never will, and why? Like, for context, what I mean is, like, me, I really want to review Lord of the Rings, but I am such a avid fan and have such a love for Lord of the Rings beyond just the movies that I don't feel like I'd ever do it justice or get across how much it means to me. So I just don't think I ever will do it.
Yeah, that's where I was starting to have problems with my flashback series. It was just like, do I really want to continue this? Because it just never does it justice. Probably Star Wars, just because we're in the middle of Star Wars or whatever for a podcast. But I don't think I'm ever going to do a Schindler's List review, because I don't think I can handle talking about that movie in a legit sense. That isn't, me talking about, oh, this happened. I want to really give that movie love, and I don't think I can do it justice at all.
Get it?
There's not one movie, or outside of that, there's not really one thing I wouldn't do. But Star Wars, just on the simple fact that we have a podcast for it. I have a podcast for it. Would probably never show up on my channel.
So you're still on the podcast?
Or it's on high, because we're so busy right now, and there's not really much to talk about when it comes to Star Wars anyways. But yeah, I don't know. Star Wars is always, especially after Last Jedi, I almost don't even want to talk about Star Wars anymore. Just on yeah, that's really pretty much it. I don't really have anything too, like I said, maybe Schindler's List, I guess.
I get that. Well, all right. That's about all the questions I got. I guess we need to know, plugs and all that stuff, where people can find you, what different spots you want to let people know to look for you.
Of course, YouTube at Movie Emporium, youtube.com/Movie Emporium, or however that works. Twitter at, am I still at Emporium Movie? I think I'm at Movie Emporium. I was able to change the Twitter handle finally. I think it's at Movie. Fuck, I just forgot. Yeah, I think it's at Movie Emporium finally. There was a problem where I couldn't switch it for some reason because somebody had the handle. Facebook, same thing, Movie Emporium. So it's all just Movie Emporium. All the same handles. So
just look for Movie Emporium everywhere.
Yes, this is all my content.
That's easy. All right, yeah. Well, cool. You got any big upcoming videos or projects besides the podcast that you want to promote?
Well, I got reviews of Protege and I think Reminiscence.
See how that fucked you up on it too, now.
I know I'm seeing Candyman early next week as well. So, but right now it's just kind of wait and see what they allow me to watch. I know Shang-Chi comes out here soon, so possibly that. But yeah.
So what do you think about that new Candyman? What do you? Because I'm sure you saw.
Awesome.
Do you think the trailer looks like they changed up the mythos a little bit? What do you think of that?
Well, you can definitely tell there's cop slant.
Current day
yeah, you can tell there's
affairs on there. Yeah,
exactly. But I think it looks good, so we'll see what happens with that.
It does look. It does look. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I try not to. I don't like political stuff. We get so much of that in the real world that I like to keep it out of my media. But admittedly, that trailer did look. I was like, this. I mean, it could go either way. You never know, but it does. It looks better than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Yep.
But
and it has Jordan Peele attached to it, so
yeah. All right. Well, I had a brain fart. What was I say? Oh, you said you got the Protege coming up, so you guys heard it here first. Jackie Brown 2: The Protege review coming to Movie Emporium this week. Check it out. All right, so
I guess for me, plugs wise, per usual, I got some reviews coming up this week. Of course, moving forward with, as I promised one of my viewers quite a while back, I would do all the Friday the 13th films leading up to Halloween this year. Haven't seen these movies in years. This week I have Friday the 13th Part 2 coming out this Friday. Every Friday leading up to the Friday before Halloween this year, you'll be getting another one. And I swear it just so happened when I worked backwards from that last Friday that the first Friday the 13th fell on Friday the 13th. But anyway, I didn't even realize that at first. But yeah, Friday the 13th Part 2 is this Friday. I also have, I'm going to be seeing Demonic. That will be closer to the end of the weekend before I get that review out. Reminiscence is coming as well. Hopefully I will be able to get that seen and recorded this weekend. I also have next in line for my comic book movie review series that will be coming out if you're watching this at the premiere tomorrow morning. That is Tales from the Crypt, the 1972 version. That's what I was about to say. Anyway, the 1972 version of Tales from the Crypt. Check that out. That is number 3. Yeah, number 3 in my series of 256 movie reviews. So, yeah, putting a dent in that one. And then, you know, more, of course. I've got a couple of other screeners of some smaller movies that I might work in there. One of them is really strange. I want to see what it's about. It's called When I'm a Moth.
Nice.
It's about Hillary Clinton. But it's about Hillary Clinton. From what I read of the synopsis, it's about Hillary Clinton if she never got into politics and she was like a fisherman. I don't fucking know. They sent me that shit, and I was like, I am going to at least watch the first few minutes of this just to know what the fuck what is going on here. Why not? Sure. I'll give it a few minutes. Yeah, I'll give it a few minutes. If it's terrible, I'll turn it off. But it's an indie. But yeah, that's what I got coming up tomorrow night. If you are watching this at the premiere, of course, I do have my Retro Wednesday live stream. I don't have a particular game to feature that I've thought of as of yet. I got a few of them on my mind, but as per I've been doing the past month or so, I'm just kind of going to play or do whatever, just hang out, chill, all that stuff. I'm sure I'll pick out something that I'll play the majority of the time. And that is it, ladies and jelly spoons. As I said at the top of the show, check out the audio version if you're watching this, and if you're listening to this, check out the video version over here on my channel, Jacob Anders Reviews, and definitely check out Nick's channel, Movie Emporium, over at Movie Emporium here on YouTube, and also check out my Patreon if you want to help out the channel. You don't have to, of course, but if you're interested in maybe getting a little bit more input on the channel and some cool rewards that go along with that, it's in the description below as well. Got a few cool tiers. They start real cheap and go up higher, really high. There's one that I thought no one would ever pick, and someone actually picked it. That would be my tier 4 bad motherfucker tier, and that would be Greg C. is the my one and only bad motherfucker over on the Jacob Anders Reviews Patreon. Thank you, Greg. And yeah, that's about all I got. You got anything else for us today, Nick?
No, actually, one more thing forgot to mention it. At the end of the month, starting on the 30th, I'm going to finally, as long as they don't push the fucking movie back again, I'm going to finish about a year and a half ago, I started a review series of the entire James Bond trilogy. And when they delayed it, I stopped it at whatever the last Roger Moore film was. And as long as they don't push it back, I will start on August 30th up to the release of No Time to Die, finish up that trilogy, finish up the James Bond reviews. That been sitting in my account for years.
Well, prepare to find something else to fill that spot, because I do not think that movie exists. And I don't think it's coming out. I don't think it's a real movie. It's much like Black Widow. I will not believe it until I'm sitting there in the theater and or on my couch and see No Time to Die show up on the screen, and until I see new footage after I see that title. But yeah, so you didn't even get to the Timothy Dalton ones, did you? You're at the
they're recorded and finished.
Oh,
but because of the different because of the intro that I have to it, I have to reconfigure everything because it has whatever the last date. It's been so long ago since I put them together. Like I have a whole entire different set now and everything. I'm just gonna redo them all and just fix it.
Oh damn, you got some reviews just backlogged from like a year ago. You better than me. I feel like I'm doing the South Park show half the time. I'm sitting here like editing and uploading and just like, come on, hurry, we're down to the wire. All right, this week
that's all I have.
I'm ahead this week because I had to move my whole studio, so I'm recorded up all the way through Saturday, I think, and I even have an extra video coming out this week. I still got to edit them, but that's what this extremely long video right here. Tomorrow night when it airs, I will be editing while I'm listening to it and responding to comments. Let's see if anybody makes it all the way to this part. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching and or listening. If you made it this far, you are the best fucking viewers in the world. And as I've already said it many times, go check out Nick's channel and subscribe. He's got some great content over there. You get some early content. And check out my channel too while you're at it, and give me a little subscribe if you want. Definitely hit like on the video here. Algorithm tends to like that, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out. And Nick, I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out tonight. I know I kept you a bit longer than I ever expected, and probably longer than you expected as well. So, but I appreciate you hanging out and talking. Man. Yeah, absolutely.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, you are definitely welcome back anytime. And yeah, that's all I got, guys. I will see you all next week.